Meeting is being recorded.
Titiro mai, titiro mai la mato. Ene mato, tamariki, whakapono, ana mato, ia koe. Aue, aue, o te matua te tamaiti, mai rua tātue. O te matua te tamaiti, mai rua tātue. Te ariki, e whakarongo mai ra i a mātou. Te ariki, titiro mai ra i a mātou. Tēne mātou, o tamariki, e whakapono, ana mātou i a koe.
Koe anō, piti hono, tātai hono, rātou te hunga wairua kia rātou, me ki moi mai raka, moi mai raka, moi mai raka. Ki mai kia tātou ngā waiho tango rātou, piti hono, tātai hono, tātou te hunga ora ki te hunga rea, hui mai niki, i rungi te karango te rā, runga te karango te kaupapa, tēnā ka koutou, kia ora no tātou katoa. Koe anō, i nāniki ka waiho tia mā hone, ki te kōrero ngā kōrero, whana ki te hakiniki. Koe anō, anu.
Thank you, One. And today is a very special day for the Confederation of Chiefs here on this land block. And it's part in history of Britain and the native people of New Zealand. And in particular, the chief we have here today, that's Riki Manukau. He's here to represent Mohi Manukau. Reg Manukau is here. And he is here. And so he's here to represent the Manukau family and the title, the native title that Mohi Manukau put together with John Rogan. So this is a memorial service for them and Eru Manukau, the successor of everything I've written about, that he wanted me to finish off his story. This is Mohi Manukau's story of the Confederation was set up on this 10-acre land block to cut all the land blocks of New Zealand up, and it was born out of here, and the bank, the Araroa Native Magistrate Court Bank, and John Rogan, and married into Maraea Manukau, and a generation of Manukau to 4 times. Manukau the first, Te Mati Manukau II, Te Mati Manukau III, and Te Mati Manukau IV to the British title, that we are here putting their successors, family, to claim these titles and sign these land title deeds, the British land title deeds that have got in 27 books and 27 live streaming, lips moving videos, affidavits. So this goes along with live people here today, and Ricky Manukau, that is the son, the younger son of Mohi Manukau, and he can't be here today. So Reg is here to sign on behalf of Iri Manukau to succeed to these native titles, for everybody to succeed to the native title of everyone born here on the country as equals. And so we have to set the pattern of original native first encounter in Kororareka and the native magistrate court there, or Kiato Native Magistrate Court, that came from there to here, and this courthouse set up Auckland City, and that's what we're telling, a true story, and the original surname of Manukau to put their name on the title here, and we also remember Amato Akarana Dan Davis as being owner on this land block with Iri Manukau and Mohi Manukau. It was Mohi that put the title to hold this native magistrate court from being sold, so that one day he can extend his title to the Crown in Britain, which we are preparing to go with these 27 books and 27 videos. And we have our chief here. We've got two chiefs here. We've got Te Awhitu, we've got Philip Te Awhitu, and now we've got Reg Manukau on behalf of Mohi Manukau and Ricky Manukau. That's been talking to each other at short notice. It's such a lot for Reg to pick up and put his mark and onto these documents to make them legal. They become legal soon when he hears the legislation of this native court to over the top of the New Zealand government's foreign government legislation and legislate the legislation out and put the regional native title back in and dissolve the government and off the native land. So that's our main aim today, and Reg is happy to sign on behalf of the Manukau families and the Moriori original title that Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau put together with King George IV, first contract in 1823, and then Rewharewha Manukau with the 1862 Native Land Act of New Zealand. That's his title, those two Manukau's, and we got a live Manukau here today. We're very lucky to have him to sign these documents, and because Iru's not here to take over from me, because my job is complete after this, and then I'm off to England to with our executive confederation until Iru decides what he wants to do with the confederation, because that's his land and that's his business, and I'm just looking after it until he comes and does what he wants to do. But I'm saying we're going what Mohi Manukau said, the British way and not the United Nations way, because that's our trust money over there they're playing around with, and they're playing around with this flag as well. So we want to reverse the whole thing, and I'm going to read a little letter and a proclamation to the Admiral of the fleet, Michael Boyce, our legal partner in the Navy, Royal British Navy, that the government has brought him out of retirement and put him into the House of Lords as a Admiral mortgage instrument of the highest rank 5-star in the Navy jurisdiction of this flag. And I'm expecting him to respond to our plea to help us to bring the British military here, or police, to look after these documents and carry out what this court is ordering. The British military, our partner as a lock contract in the flags, both the British flag and the Confederation of Chiefs flag, because the king gave it to the chiefs, native chiefs, and nobody else. So we're interpreting today what the flag really means in the entrenched constitution of King William III of 1689 and his Bill of Rights 1689 and King William's King George III um, Municipal Corporations Act and King William IV Municipal Corporations Act 1835 with an entrenched flag that no one can touch this contract and it's live people here today that are putting themselves forward to claim the native title to this country, New Zealand. And so no one has rebutted all these 27 weeks that have gone past where it's been publicly notified of our intentions. The government's been silent in those 27 weeks with their photos of the criminals we call criminal organizations that the Pope Francis said he's got rid of, he's destroyed all these corporations and trusts, and they are not immune from prosecution if you've got a court system with adequate law. And so we're using the most appropriate law on everyone that you think to seem to think is a criminal on these native lands, and we dissolve all titles on the land and any flags flying other than this flag. So the government's being very mischievous to fly two flags and call this flag a counterfeit flag, whakaputanga, in the government with the Maori Party uh, uh, displaying their use of it and the Rotorua County Council with the flag flying in their office. So there, and Biden flying the flag in America for Cook Islands that made Cook Islands a part of the United States of America with the flag. So they're using it, and they have no legislation in this government to legislate it in, and the Union Jack flag legislated out. So we legislated it out and legislated into the native court. I read it out afterwards, where they don't have the right, the legal right, to use that king's flag for their documents or make claims to other countries. It's a conflict of interest against the people who own this flag, the native people of this country that were born on the land. But we go back to the original native people to kick off the process for all native people in the world. The title came out of here. So the government, the British government, used this land title to do New Zealand as a model to do all the other native countries in the world they want to take over with the WEF, World Economic Forum, and the America itself want to take the power of Westminster and disable the whole Westminster Parliament. So we've just caught them breaking contracts that belong to us and tampering with our documents in British press, government press documents, and altering words to suit their own New Zealand Little Crown title. So there, we've caught them in the act of treason, high treason, using a counterfeit flag they're calling whakaputanga when the whakamininga up north, Ngāpuhi, have made their impression of the flag and interpreted as wakas and whakaputanga. Now the government picked up the whakaputanga and started using it. So they're talking to each other in that contract with the Maori chief and a queen that has no swearing of oath to the Queen of England. Well, she's gone now. So they can't go into a native King's Bench court because otherwise they would have had Charlie as their king on their documents. They'll have to throw all the documents away with the Queen's seal, but they're not going to do that because they just used the picture for their private corporation to keep running their business until we jam them up with this title and real seals, 12 seals. I'm going to read the seals out. That's locked them in a contract with us in those documents. And you see those seals along the top of the document and the crown. the Moai crown, which is the memorial that Queen Victoria corporatized. She made it corporate to make money out of it as her document title to memorial on the land. And so we legislate that back into our ownership seal, that you see a Moai with a round seal, and King William as a Moai crown, King William will trust to take over the crown, the British crown, and Rothschild Bank and legislate them right out. So I'm going to now read the letter I've got for huh? Yeah. So I'm going to read out the proclamation first off, and then I'll read the letter, and then I'll read the rest of what I want to say with the legislation. So I'll go to the big book and get onto the right page. I'm going to read out the proclamation to the Navy first, the British Navy and the British Armed Forces. This was done in 2015 with Kingi Todua signed it, and Jamie Patrick, she was the secretary of the company, Moai Powerhouse Group, and Ngā Atua Ewa Aotea Limited, and the registered company here in New Zealand. So she's a Patrick of the 8-point star Patrick, St. Patrick in Ireland. That's her family. And she's also the Scotland Yard Stewart family. So there's where she fits into the whakapapa of that flag as someone alive, a woman that can put her name, her surname to the title and the flag. So we have identified the flag, who owns the flag, and what it was given for, and what it means, and what business we're doing as corporate. It is a corporate flag, but no one's talking about what it means. They just use it and hope to hell no one knows about it. So I'm going to read the proclamation out today that was set off with Kingi Todo on Te Marae in Waitangi in front of everybody, and also in Waitangi Marae in front of everybody, and Kingi there, and Hohepa Epiha, and Willie Peter, and a few others that were with us for some time to establish a native title. It started a long time ago with Mohi, and so it's continued right till now, and now is the time. It's now or never, and you're about to lose the flag. Don't use it, you lose it. So we're using the flag and using every bit of power inside it today to legislate and to make proclamations of who we are, and tell the British we are now in business, reasserting that flag and reinstating it, legislating it back into power when the government here legislated out, but they're using it when they can't have two flags and expect to cling themselves to this flag as if they had the right to do it. That's against contract laws. So proclamation in the name of His Majesty King William IV, King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and his living blood inheritance successors in 2016, King Ernest Augustus V, 68 years, heir to the throne, King of Britain, UK, Hanover, Aotea, New Zealand, New World Order. That's the real New World Order to hold everybody together. And his son, Prince Regent Ernest Augustus, 38 years old, to succeed to him if he does not take this claim to the crown business over with us back to the Dutch king to king to king to king line that Prince Charles, King Charles, can't do that. He can't link himself in a timeline of events to the Admiral that made the mortgages on the land in other countries, back to the big crown that these kings put together for us as their partners, still with the two flags flying, the Confederation flag and the British flag that we're here claiming today to still be in existence, still live contract. It's very much alive with us live here on the video, and making these claims stand on ownership of that flag outright. So whereas I assert, oh, hang on, I'll just go back a bit. Chief Hongihika for the Confederation of Chiefs Hapu in Congress assembled at Waitangi. This was done in front of everybody, by the way. Chief Te Waikato for Aotea, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, New World Order, Maui Crown Bank. Here, we're standing on the original bank that started the BNZ off here. Whereas I assert His Majesty King Ruler legacy in Waitangi Marae Native Court to Chiefs Commander from His Majesty King William IV Admiralty jurisdiction of the flag through his principal agent of State of Colonies, James Busby, did assert on the grounds of discovery of Aotea and now in writing of Hapu sovereign chiefs, the administration of their native lands over the southern islands of New Zealand, commonly called the Middle Island, and Stewart Island, and the island commonly called the Northern Island, transferred back to the Confederation of Chiefs Hapu under proclamations of their inherent continuity of unbroken sovereignty over their native lands to their commercial trading bank private contract business partner, His Majesty King William IV. Successor, King Ernest Augustus V, in his successor's Prince Regent Ernest Augustus under Salic law forbidding women succeeding to the British throne. Now therefore I, Hoani Kahiki Wanoa, Maui Crown, Native Land Commissioner of Aotea, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, do hereby proclaim and declare to all men that from and after the date of these presents, our full sovereignty over these islands of Aotea, New Zealand, Na Atua e Wā Aotea, Pacific World New World Order, 8-point star title, extending from 34 degrees 30 minutes to 47 degrees 10 minutes south latitude and between 166 degrees 5 minutes to 171 degrees of east longitude west in the Maui Crown under His Majesty King Ernest Augustus V and his son Prince Regent Ernest Augustus, nominated as King of Britain UK Military Protectorate by the chiefs in Congress assembled at Waitangi at that time, forevermore given under my hand inside Waitangi Marae King's Bench Court House. Sworn this 28th day of October in the year of our Atua, Lord God, 2016 at Waitangi Marae, Maui King William IV Federal State Commonwealth Government of the World, New World Order, St. Patrick Order, 8-point star flag, that flag here, 2016, signed by His Excellency Surrogate King, Maui Crown Secretary of State Jamie Anna Marie Patrick, St. Patrick Order, God Save the King. Hoani Kahi Wano, Maui Native Land Commissioner, Sheriff of Waitangi Marae Court extended to all district courts. Native Chief Commander Kingi Taurua, New Zealand Military, Waitangi Marae Landlord, Queen Victoria Trust. So he's claiming the Queen Victoria Trust because he's a King Edward and a Queen Victoria bloodline. So there's where that trust goes to Kingi Taurua under King William IV, is in that trust as well as a combination of king and queen. So Waitangi Marae, printed by Maui Crown King William IV Trust and Maui King William IV Party. We had a party going, New Zealand Pacific Property Rights in His Majesty King William IV, 1830 to 1837 Acts of Westminster Parliament, in force of law, the 15th of the 4th, 2016, legal private contract with Maui Native Chiefs. We've got one here. Of Aotea, New Zealand, we've got two here. Of New Zealand and Pacific Islands native land titles, absolute to Maui Crown New Zealand Pacific World King William IV federal flag, state UK, New Zealand dual government set up in Kororareka, in London, British Navy, Devon Port, UK government, private contract partnership business with King Chief Hongihika and Chief Waikato sold Kororareka land 20th of the 3rd, 1834 is another memorial that we have for this confederation and the flag. On that day, it was made this country a native sovereign of itself, finding of this country and not 1840. Captain George Lambert, HMS Alligator 21 gun salute at Mikey Hill, 10th of the 4th, 1834. That day is another memorial after this one to have the same connection to Britain to keep us continuity of sovereignty and the continuity of Admiralty mortgage, bank loan instruments, and these documents to keep them going because the EU Parliament is trying to break us up and get rid of the flag and get rid of all things British. And we're there to save them with the flag. That's what it is. And so that's the proclamation. And now I'm going to go on to the little letter I put together for the Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, in my own handwriting because I didn't have time to type it up and put in the book. So that'll come later. And it says, as the president of the Confederation until Edu gets here and takes over from me, as the president of the Confederation of Chiefs, I'm asking for your urgent protectorate to Michael Boyce, the Admiral of the Fleet, the highest ranking Navy officer, King William IV flag power to hold protectorate. I'm asking for you, Michael Boyce, an urgent protectorate, what that flag means, protectorate, the black line in the flag, to protect, it's a contract bounding the crown to us and obligated to us under that black seal to protect our financial investment interests of what this government is doing for themselves as a threat against our security of well-being and our land that they want the title for. And we've stepped up to knock them out with these affidavit documents and videos. And that's what stopped the Governor General, Cindy Cairo, from going to Kororareka to claim the native title of the flag, first landing on the shore there, and in the marae there, the European marae, that they were going to do that and this place here at the same time, so that they took this native title and they took the Navy British title from over there because they've cut themselves off to Britain, and this is the only way they can get their way back to Britain is to usurp the flag without the permission of the Confederation of Chiefs and the sovereign native people born to this island and this country. And so we're here to kick off the process to bring everybody together to claim what we're saying and claim what we're doing as your right to self-government and self-control yourself and not controlled by foreign government corporation that were they're abusing the King's corporate laws and admiralty of mortgage, and especially the martial law. We're dropping the legislation of the martial law or state of emergency because we're in a state of takeover of this country, and we're asking you, Michael Boyce, to do the same as what the chiefs, native chiefs, did here, to ask the King for protection of their ships on the ocean and their trade between here and Britain. So he gave a flag. He gave the flag to the natives, 1834, and so that locked him and us, the natives, in a contract that can't be broken because the flag is entrenched with its constitutions, all its laws of Britain, and we use all British laws of King William IV, 7 years of laws with no added statutes to alter it. So it's clean law, and we're using the flag with those laws over the top of the government who is lawless. They don't have laws, only legislation. So they've only got 1986 Constitution, which is not entrenched. They've been trying to entrench it for years and cannot do that because there's already a Constitution 1852 from Queen Victoria. They've gone and legislated it out and put their own one in, and that's up against the King's Constitution Act 1689. So there, they've got that on their head with these documents, and against an inferior constitution and Union Jack flag. That's their contract, the Union Jack. And so why do they want this flag? Because they have no jurisdiction in their flag to do business, especially commercial business. So there, that's the letter to you, Michael Boyce. And so I'm just saying, King William the Third. Hang on, I've got to go back a bit because I've been talking past it. So I'm saying that as sorry, um, King William the Fourth, he made this flag extant forevermore in statute law in Westminster, but the government of New Zealand and iwi Maori are usurping our native chief flag contract with you obligated to that flag and the native indigenous chiefs and the native people born on these lands, native lands, that is still in your British Crown Government Parliament control and jurisdiction. We are in danger of pirates operating on the high seas of Admiralty legislation, not British law or New Zealand law, um, against us practicing British law, legislation, and constitution of King William III and King William IV for our British King's flag that New Zealand government legislated out in 1840, and now our native magistrate King's Bench Court legislated back in today when I read the legislations out to you. And the British flag and King William IV dual federal government flag, that's what it is, Republic flag as well of New Zealand, UK, New Zealand flag, and its seals that I'm going to read out a little bit about, and 20 legal instruments to take back our country today, Friday, 28th of October 2022, with 27 now unrebutted court hearings on Zoom affidavits and 27 video affidavits. We now have our King William IV flag jurisdiction control and possession instruments to forward to you of our enforcement orders for your British Armed Forces and police to expel these criminal organizations against New Zealand government and their new name, Sovereign Crown of New Zealand, was the Queen in right of New Zealand, but they've ditched that one and they've put Sovereign Crown of New Zealand, Michael Boyce, private corporation for their own self-interest and total control without jurisdiction and British royal assent to their counterfeit Queen and Maori chief seal, saying they don't swear an oath to the Queen of England and their constitution is not entrenched as our 1834 King William IV flag constitution, 1835. We own that flag as native chiefs, not Maori chiefs. The government calls their corporation tribe, and our some king's flag. They counterfeited forged as a whakaputanga flag and a whakameninga Maori government. I want you to dissolve with us today out of the parliament, and we ask you to bring your military police in to take back our country from the orders of this Araroa Native Magistrate Court Bank, King William IV King's Bench Court, Maui Crown Native Court, to replace the Maori Crown Court that is usurping our flag you give us to us and not to Maori chiefs. We have a completed all necessary paperwork, paper trail of Kings of Admiralty succession to our flag and superior King's legal authority. We forward to you as a declaration of war on the Rothschild Bank, the British pound note, and Vatican sovereign bonds of our birth certificates, and the United Nations of America corruption criminal organization. We give you the evidence of President Joe Biden usurping and using our King William IV British flag to federalize Cook Islands with it without our Confederation of Chiefs written consent or any New Zealand legislation in Parliament that allowed the New Zealand Prime Minister to give that flag contract to America is high treason. On our partnership with you, we want you to investigate, but the Native Count Court has made a ruling today now to charge our Prime Minister, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Waitangi National Trust trustees and Biden illegally using our federal contract trading bank flag for their own um, conquering of lands that we say is fraud and forgery counterfeit contract violation of our two countries' obligations from you to each other. We are the native people of the sovereign lands in New Zealand asking for your help, Michael Boyce, the same as our chiefs asked King William IV for protection of their ships and trading from being pirated on the high seas. And that's where our legacy comes from for you to do the same thing as King William did, gave us the flag to lock us together with him at that year, 1834, and no one can tamper with that and alter its jurisdiction, which this court holds jurisdiction over this country today, finally made public, and with the documents to go with it. So we have this last pledge to you, Michael Boyce, 5-star Navy officer, and out of retirement into the House of Lords, to tell the House of Lords you are our British partners in this commercial flag business to help us save our country from foreign government takeover of the United Nations, the WEF, the NATO, United EU Parliament, and every other deep state government in every other country that's affiliated to the WEF and Jacinda Ardern and her Ardern family of Mormons in the Pacific, and also the Latter Day Saints and Ross Ardern. Ross Ardern was um, on Tokelo Islands, and he was the minister for that island to make sure they got the jab, and and then Ian Ardern is the minister in the church, the Latter Day Saints Church, that is in control of all the Pacific Islands and also the Africa. He's got control of the church domination over their documents, and so we're liquidating them all in this court today with a pound note, and liquidating the legislating to use the pound note of King Tawhito and Patterson 2-bar pound note as their patent to their royalties of our use of the 2-bar pound note in the Bank of England Act 1694, King William III. So there we have that jurisdiction to use that pound note today. From today, we liquidate any criminals with their photos in these documents, 27 of them. If your photo's in there, you've got £1 trillion on your head as death instrument from a native magistrate court for the first time in history, that we now have a court, because the corporation courts don't work for us or anybody. They have their own way of doing a court. We have our own way. This way, with pictures of them, you can identify easily enough. So that's our plea to you, Michael Boyce, and the House of Lords, to help us, and we will send these 27 books in PDF file to you. They are downloadable on moaipowerhouse.world, where you can download all these documents and the videos in today's book of 424 pages, that you can pick off what we are saying to you, that now we know what to do and we know how to control what we do, and the legal instruments that are being missing, and the key to unlock all the sovereignty in the world, native lands, that this WEF wants to take control of with this flag and take our native title by force. And they have been successful right till now. And we want you to come this way and not to support them for that takeover of the EU taking over the Westminster Parliament. Now you've got a Muslim prime minister in there, and he's got the controlled digital currency money, and we want our pound note staying the same as money in your pocket to keep control of what we've got given to us. And we are going to enforce that today in legislation to use straight away and liquidate the first property in Cook Street in Auckland that Mohi Manukau wanted back. In 2008, we started that case. So now that's the first one we're going after, because the whole thing with John Key and his Panama Papers was a real estate land transfer fraud, conveyancing, and it's supposed to have Maori unregistered interests of Mohi, but they turned it down. They even turned that down. They turned down his whakapapa and all his traditional history, that's true history, that the British wrote up. So we want you, Michael Boyce, and the House of Lords to acknowledge what we are saying, as you are our legal partner, and we have the legal instruments to go with the native title that we want to. And that's my little pledge to you on behalf of our native chief here, Reg Manukau. Like I say again, it's for Mohi Manukau. He's here to sign on their behalf, and for Edu Manukau, Mohi's successor living person, when they let him back in the country, once we get our control back, because he's been barred from coming here, and use a government of what he set up to do. So we've got governments, dual government with the British under their flag to go straight into business with the pound note, and that's where our collateral comes from, the value of the criminal on their heads of £1 trillion that the Rothschild Crown Corporation has to pick up the tab and the bill for that, and the military gets paid from the pound note to go after it all. So that's on a bigger scale of where this flag is gone, and the government that has taken it there around the world, that belongs to us. All of everything, while we're still in contract with you, Michael Boyce, in Britain. So there, we're owning up now. We're owning up to the Queen Victoria Trust as the beneficiaries, and we want to replace the head of the trust, Queen Elizabeth II, and the only surviving successor is Queen Sophia of Spain. So there's that to solve, and I'm coming there to replace the Queen as the head of the trust, the Queen Victoria Trust, and transfer into the Moai Crown King William IV Trust. So there, that's our pledge to you, to save Britain from being taken over too. And so the flag, I'm saying in the bold statement, may be your savior if we made our partnership work. And that's what we're here today, to commemorate the making of the titles here with the Freemasons. I put a little tab in for them because it was Mohi Manukau 50 years that designed this with the Scottish rights people that are the instrument holders of the certificate of land transfer, and that's their stake in the crown, 10%, what I say. We got 60% of the natives in the world that got robbed, and the British Crown should only have 40% because we're doing all the work out here as people, slaves, no more. We're no more slaves of that corporation, and put it back into this native corporation flag. We can decide if we want to keep on going as a corporation or ditch it. That's up to the people to decide what they want to do once they got the control back, 100% control this way. So you won't have no control going the other way to the United Nations, and the flag is going to back to Britain and not going to a foreign government country that they're trying to get that title and steal it too. So there, Michael Boyce, we don't want pirates on the sea anymore. So we want you to help us to rid them, and that's for that. I'm going to go straight into the legislation of what we are doing to claim this country back into native title. And I'll go, Andy, can you go to the 427 pages in the PDF file, yeah, and open it up, because I'm going to get you to roll through it while I'm talking and saying the legislation. And everybody's face that goes past here is on notice again and again and again. And the titles that, that are there and all that information that we're putting on those people today and dropping all these 27 books and videos on each thug pirate's head. So there, that's the Rothschild is going to be billed to the balance of what is owed. And those people that have been damaging the people in New Zealand and jabbing the hell out of them is going to get all their assets seized with this writ warrant and martial law on top of them that we're expecting the British armed forces to honour this because they'll get paid handsomely from the pound note contract that we make a deal back with them and enforce these acts right now. That's what I'm doing. So we go to page 359, Andy. Go to page 359. And I'm just going to explain where our authority comes from to talk like a king and do king's business and not anybody else's business. So these are the seals that I'm just going to read. Oh, you got that one. Hang on. I've got to go back. Oh, this book is missing. You're on page 359. Have you got the right one? I've got the 427 page book because there's one that's 400. Yeah, we got the 424 page book because I'm looking at the 427 book. Make sure it hasn't got 424 pages because that's the wrong book. It should be with the 8-point star on the first seal on that one. So anyway, look for the 8-point star with King William on it. I'm just going to read what it means. The there, that one. That one you just went past. That one. So I'm going to just read it. What that 8-point star of St. Patrick means on this flag that we're claiming because we know what it is and no other interpretation of that flag. King William IV crown on top of King William III, St. Patrick's Church 8-point star, legal instruments of municipal local councils, county governments, corporations, entities using King William IV 1835 Municipal Acts to collect the land leases, rents, rates, and prized possessions of the foreign native lands around the world from the British Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank of the Sea of Admiralty Queen's Bench Court, Vice Admiral Bar Association, and from the Maori Crown King William IV Maritime Dry Land Magistrate Court of Admiralty, with him on the horse, with the rope of the ship on the sea of Admiralty legal authority in force, with his gold money prize possessions, Crown Seal, claim of Westminster Parliamentary authority on our superior documents. So that's why that seal's there. Then you've got the Maui. I have to explain what that one is. This is where we get our sheriff's higher ruling authority. Oh, that's the sheriff's one, that second one. The High Sheriff's Association of England and Wales. That's what I'm wearing. I got it. I didn't put it on. I forgot to put the 8-point star on. That 8-point star on me. I got it in the car. Oops, the book is falling to bits. I'm falling to bits. So I got to watch the book doesn't fall all apart. It's come adrift. This is where we get our Sheriff's Higher Ruling Authority, Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, Lord High Admiral, Lord Baron Boyce, over New Zealand Government, Parliament jurisdiction, Courts of Inferior Governments, Vice Admiral jurisdiction, Maui Crown. Oh, that's for that green shield there that we've got on our documents for the sheriffs to do the court work, to go and recover all the property and stolen equipment and possessions, things like that. So they have to go and inquire on the titles of the land that we say that needs investigating. Our pages have come adrift. Right. Then the next one, the Moai Seal, this is where we, as Sheriff, High Authority, Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, Lord High Admiral, Lord Baron Boyce, over New Zealand Government Parliament jurisdiction, Courts of Inferior Government, Vice Admiral jurisdiction. Oh, that's for that one. So we've got the Moai Seal now. Moai Crown stands in London, captured by Queen Victoria in 1868 and shipped him on the HMS Topaz in 1869 under Admiralty of the Sea, forced prize possessions. Gosh, my book is falling bits. Title using Superior King William IV, ex of Westminster Parliament, the Queen Victoria Rogue Vice Admiral, jurisdiction for legal seizure of Maori ancestral property belonging to our Tahitian natives of Easter Island to create her legal documents commercializing Maori Crown as her legal ownership of our sacred statue of God's face, spiritual law, Lore, of truth. That's what Lore law means. You tell the truth, and they don't like truth in that jurisdiction. Truth jurisdiction for her corporate business authority over our truth, God's grace authority to rule over humans with a king's man's law, LAW, jurisdiction. So now we claim my crown legal ownership and title to his world creation and my power of God's truth, my statue standing in London and other countries that stole a Moai for wealth creation over this his earth and natural resources, including the water and existence of life on his earth. We now claim Moai and his crown business assets return to their rightful owners themselves under the natives of the land who now country themselves under the Moai Crown King William Bench Magistrate Court jurisdiction of his truth God on his earth as it is in front of his heaven, in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. So that's that one. Then you've got this one of the missing gold, the dragon against the red dragon in England, and Moai Earth God dragon represents the recovery of all stolen gold under a corrupt fraudster Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II Crown Corporation business rogue Vice Admiralty jurisdiction facing the true Admiral of the Fleet higher jurisdiction and the 12 King Bench Magistrate Court documents sealed here that are superior in our legal writs of execution and orders from a surrogate king before the fake illusion deed entity Queen Elizabeth II abdicates to a false Prince Charles, King of fraud and corruption, Rothschild cabal families. This gold seal dragon law enforces the Moai pound note on the name barracks of the high seas, heads on the heads, singled out and charged in a World King's Bench Magistrate Court to recover the millions of tons of gold stolen, robbed off the natives of every country land, and they too want the wealth and return to, in the King's common law, people of their sovereign lands and banish the Queen Elizabeth II families with the correct blood sovereign lands and banish the Queen Elizabeth II families I'll say it again, with the correct blood descendants King Ernest Augustus V. We, the chiefs of the tribe, put on a throne. So that's what we want to do, reinstate King Ernest Augustus to keep the Dutch line intact where it all started from. So now we've got the next seal that's on those documents to lock them in contact with us. The Moai Crown King William IV Trust seal, the King William IV on his horse on dry land with this flag, and no bar and dock to put you and try you in. We just try you online on Zoom, just like they do prisoners now. Stay in prison and put them on video in the jail. And so we're doing them as if they're in a jail in Parliament. Put them on notice and try them. And they got a mobile phone to see what's going on, but they won't answer because it's right there in front of their face. They've got no excuse at all because the word gets around what we're doing, and so we've trapped them doing the fraud, and that's the seal drops on the head. So King William IV on his horse dry land. A background of the I'll say it again. King William IV on his horse on dry land seal. Britain, UK, and New Zealand ship of Admiralty in the background as his legal authority of mortgage lien documents transferred off the sea from Westminster Parliament, Britain, UK, and onto the dry land of countries conquered by the successors of his king, from King William III to King George IV, to his brother King William IV, to his brother Ernest Augustus I. That's the right, correct bloodline. To his blood descendant Ernest Augustus V, who is the legitimate king to the throne. We, the chiefs, um, uh, are the native tribes of New Zealand, Britain, UK, and will nominate him in. We order him in from this court today to be on the throne and expel Prince Charles off the throne, because he can't put his hand on a scone, because it's been corrupted by Queen Elizabeth. Didn't put her hand on a scone to get her legitimacy from the crown ownership, or taking over the crown business. That's still wide open for us to claim with the king we put in. We put in the king because it's native all around the world that we're representing here, to do that. There's the next crown and anchor of King William IV. So Gregory Cook made another crown and anchor for Ernest Augustus V. He's got Ernest Augustus flag of Admiralty, and his jurisdiction and the crown and anchor there. That's his title that Gregory is promoting at the moment as Admiral. That's his order from the court to correct all of that, put it back in place. And he's talking as a representative of his Cook family, that were those shipping people that can talk like that. And him in his world up there in Waitangi, or Kororareka, I must say, and he's have every right, and because his orders have come from this court to enforce what we say to do, and so he has a big job to follow behind this once we pass these legislation acts, and summons himself the British military and navy to adhere to their obligation to the flag. And we have a video of that navy officer with Dion Walker. He's here playing the music. So he's made that video of proof that the navy is obligated to this flag, but in whose jurisdiction? So that's what I'm saying. It's a British jurisdiction of what power we have in the flag. So that's that one. And then we've got the Maui Crown King William IV Trust Seal. This one here is common law, which is the king's law, common law of the people. The laws are people's laws that we are doing here today, to take the legislation out of the way and put the law back in place in New Zealand, and with the legislation of British law back to 1689 to William IV, 1831 to 1834. On that side, before he was suddenly mysteriously killed off in that fashion of what they do as assassination of people that their crown with the Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria don't like you. They assassinate you and get you out of the way of their contract. So Westminster Parliament is the next one where we get our authority from, sovereignty. Still, we're still honoured to that Westminster Parliament to try and get it out of the trouble it's in. And those treasonous pirates from the EU Parliament operating inside Westminster and taking it into Muslim control and into control currency. We're going to use the pound note to liquidate their currencies out of Westminster and put our pound note back in place and carry on having money in your pocket that you control and they don't, and have our own system with the pound note to make everything happen in a king's world. So I'm talking king talk, not queen talk. That's over with the Maoris in Waitangi. And so Westminster Parliament sovereignty, where all the fraud and corruption occurs, and the problems of Brexit. I was promoting Brexit with Andy, with the yellow coats, with all the photos of all those people. I put a charge on, so those are going to come up on when Andy and them get Britain going, and I got to go over there when I'm finished this court hearing. I'm finished my job basically. I've handed the title and everything back to the Manukau's, and I'm out of here. I'm gone to finish off that on that side with the pound note over there. That's where it belongs, and that's where we get the authority to use it again and the flag again and tell them our story, not any Maori story. We tell them a native story for the first time. A commercial contract, this is the flag next, extension to the Confederation flag with Maui crown, world economic development in the four corners of the world, trade flag in 250 countries from this court we're going to, free passage for the Maui tidal turbine energy project to develop the hydrogen economy from a global debtors of corrupt Crown, UK, US, EU criminals. So we'll liquidate them and take the power back off with the same money system on that they put on us, the fraud one bar pound note and the fraud fiat money US dollar. And Maui Crown, the next one. This is the flag for Maui Crown with the African title and the Hawaiian, or not the Hawaiian, the Tahitian, Polynesian islands, Maui statue with a crown. And he said, that's our crown, the crown on his head. And but the Queen got one with no crown on his head, Queen Victoria in England, but Queen Elizabeth II put one with a crown on his head in Dunedin as her title to New Zealand. And then Helen Clark in 2004, foreshore and seabed, got a replica copy from Chile and stuck it in down on the on the shore of Island Bay, Araroa Bay, as her title to the foreshore and seabed in the Pacific Islands. So there, they did that with the Canterbury Bishop of Canterbury and the Catholic Church, and that Mossop, his name, Bishop Mossop, left the position of bishop there and went straight into the Vatican. I've got that all online on the document. So that's the flag, the Maui Earth Crown, basket of knowledge on his head, flag of marae is the red colour, that cross, and the colour of the native Hapu whānau of New Zealand Pacific Islands with the African pyramid and Sun Ra obelisk time dial and Sun Ra light energy to the world, blue sky and ocean with a spaceship of technology carved into the rocks in Giza pyramids and on Easter Island linked together with the spiritual God creator of his Sun Ra, God statues built in Rapa Nui, Easter Island, and pyramids and tall obelisks built in Africa, not London, US, or Vatican. Sold them, all these taonga treasures, as Admiralty of the Sea, stolen prized possessions of black native people of these lands. So then it goes, and we'll just get to these next two, fraud, dupe, foreign countries. We claim back the wealth of the Crown corporations in that Queen's Bench Court. Of them in this court today, and my Crown King William IV Trust seal, the Supreme Court in London, British Supreme Court seal. We use the Supreme Court, which is the highest court there, but we use the King's law to go along with the Supreme Court. It's only for appeals, so we don't have to do appeals. We just rule as truth, and nobody is bothering to go up against it. We don't have to go to the Supreme Court, but we let them know that we know how to run the court. And our fashion, because governments give their laws for Commonwealth countries to use at your discretion and how you want to interpret it. So we just stick to King's laws over everybody that's usurping the King's laws. British Supreme Court seal, when we go in the highest court of appeals under King William IV Admiralty law of the sea, of the dry land Admiralty flag, without a bar or dock, in a Queen's Bench court to charge pirates operating their corrupt, defrauded contracts, fraud corporate businesses out on the high seas, now forced into this commercial defaulted contract here today, into our native magistrate court hearings on Zoom for world's native people acting in the open King's Bench court under common law, legal landlords. We're the landlords, sovereign claimants over the people's sovereignty, lands, and resources. So that's that one. I think we're on the last one. Moai, tidal energy. That's what I set up to be the first into the hydrogen economy and not use fossil fuels anymore, but the sea power to make giant turbines on a bridge that the hydrogen planes, passenger planes, and the military lands on and tops up and carries on going around the world. So my title, I'll be doing that with Scotland while I'm going to England and get that going straight away with the money we recover in the trillions and get that going for your share business in this Ngā Atua Ewa Aotea Limited Company that all the native people in this country own. So there, we've got original natives, then the next lot of natives, the older one first. That's normally in a tikanga, the elders first, and then the next ones down, and so on. And the longest to be here is a sovereign of the longest and native to succeed down that bloodline. That's what how the British kings do it, king to king to king to king. So no offense against the Queen, but you can see what she did with it and used it for her own self-interest. Moai, tidal turbines, economic development of the world's hydrogen economy around the Pacific Ocean as Moai Crown God's Law, Lore, and Law, Law, King's Law, and God's Law of Truth, and King William IV British Crown title over the Pacific Ocean and the Moai heaven and earth, God's spirit, world, creation, that Queen Victoria created, the Moai corporate crown title, we claim legal ownership of our Tahitian stolen Moai memorial to the land with the documents, instruments titled from Queen Victoria and the Queen Elizabeth II Crown Corporations, Vatican US, American warmongering, land alienation, thieves and thugs, business, UN, EU, NATO, WHO, World Health Organization, and World Economic Forum, Bilderberg, Illuminati, pirates operating on the high seas of Admiral. So those are our seals that locks them in the contract under this flag. And martial law to go after them, what they're doing with this flag is going after all the countries and bombing the hell out of them. So we use the flag to end all wars and pay all the militaries in 250 countries with the pound note and as against the Rothschilds. That's why the pound note is so high in value. And so that goes into your trust accounts and what we set up here for all the native people in the world. But we have to acknowledge how it all started on this little 1,400 square meter land block here. So there, the Freemasons, you can thank for that. But I'm not a Freemason, but I just know from their instruments I saw of Mohi Manukau, they said, oh, this is what I do. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So that's how you do it, eh? So you go and tell them in there what land you're going to cut up. And you hold a survey pig because that's what he was doing with his grandfather. Little does he know that it was selling the land off. And he didn't care because he told him it's my land. So you have to say, it's my land too. That's what natives say after this one. You say, the land belongs to me too. So I want a piece of that. And this is how you do it as shareholders to kick off the corporate this way of that flag and use it very effectively. So there. So I'm just going to say the 20 instruments inside this flag so you know there's no other way to describe the flag you're flying as a counterfeit forgery of this king's flag for these instruments here that we are enforcing and legislating into law today, legal jurisdiction to use these instruments on anybody tampering with that flag. And that goes for anybody in any corporation or incorporation in Maori title, because you have to prove where the hell you got your title from. So there, we're just saying, here it is, the flag. These are entrenched in this flag, and no one can take ownership of it if you don't know what the flag means. Very powerful. So the first one, the 1834 founding of New Zealand flag. That's number one. Number two, 1835 Declaration of independence flag while he's still the king. And the third one, free passage through the world, four corners of the world with four 8-point star flag to pick up the rent on the land that only leased. It's just a bit of paper. It still belongs to the native people. The king's got to give the land back when he's finished with it and rape the whole thing. So, but he didn't do the raping. The queen raped the land and their Rothschild family. So there, we go them to and use these instruments effectively. Now, number 4, commercial trading bank flag. That's what it is. It's a bank mortgage lien contract flag. So there, that's number 4. Number 5, corporate contract business partnership. It's a partnership with this flag flying at Waitangi on the other side of the Confederation of Chiefs. It's not Whakaputanga flag because the king talks in paramount chiefs and king talk of king flags. You see what I mean? So that's what it really means. A flag between New Zealand and Britain, UK, contract business. So there, that's number 5. Number 6, this flag is the missing link in New Zealand and around the world where the no, corporations are using this King William IV 1835 declaration of war. They're using it as a war flag, and it's supposed to be to protect from pirates in war against Britain and us. So they're using it as if we're the pirate and they're the good guy. So there, that's what it really means. Where the Crown corporations are using this flag, 1835 King William IV Declaration of War flag. It's a state of emergency. They create emergencies all the time for jabs and everything. They create it from this flag because they have to get a jurisdiction from somewhere to do what they're doing. Illegally, with Queen Elizabeth II Crown agents, corporation pirates, forcing the legal Admiralty Emergency War Powers Act of the King William IV flag to wage war against the people of New Zealand and the world. The Crown foreign governments treat as pirates dead at sea. So now the New Zealand Confederation of Chiefs turn the flag's Admiralty mortgage lien, land, instruments, and legal power on the Queen Elizabeth II and her Crown agents as the real pirates on the high seas, operating scam, fraud, corrupt businesses all these years since Queen Victoria 1837 to now 1844 Queen Victoria Trust and birth certificates. So they're using Admiralty all the way because it's a money instrument for doing their dirty business. Security bonds, trust, birth certificates. The chiefs of Confederation wants audited. We want our trust account audited like any trust and settled, wound up, and bankrupted in 2022. That's what we're legislating today. And number 7, these are these are the instruments. 7, Crown Getty Royal Family Photo Authority of Free Passage into the harbour, international travel flag. So all those shipping lines like the Ocean Monarch and P&O and all those people, they use the Getty family of photos with a 8-point star flag to go straight into the harbour. They don't have to sit and line up to come in. They go straight in. They put this 8-point star flag up, and in they go. Then they put it back in the cabinet, in the captain's cabin. The flag is being usurped for the creation of the fraud, illegal, unproven 1840 Treaty of Waitangi contract agreement between Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth, and iwi Maori corporate New Zealand fraud corrupted Crown government. So that's number 8. And number 9, number 10, St. Patrick's Church, 8-point star of King William IV, 1835 Municipal Corporations Act flag, that's what it is, to pick up the lease rent rates. That's what the council's flying it in Rotorua, local council, flying the flag now. This flag, the Confederation flag, is a Whakaputanga flag. And leases and rent rates, fines, fees on conquered foreign trade lands for the King's Crown prized possessions, wealth, assets, money, commercial contracts, mortgage liens, and land transfer transactions legal land conveyancing corporation's business. So that's that one. Number 11, a King's Proclamation today, action flag for petitions to the King. So it's a proclamation of the flag to put Ernest Augustus V on the throne immediately from the natives here and the people, native people of New Zealand partners want him to replace King Charles. That's not coronated yet. He will never get coronated because his mother's corrupted their title to the throne. So it's the throne and the crown business that we have our interests on with all our instruments to take it into our ownership um, uh, cut of wealth sharing with the British and the, um, and the Freemasons part in the certificate. So number 12, a British King's Royal Navy King William IV Crown and Anchor seal, that's what it is, of authority, recognized Admiralty, land and sea flag, common law, and Admiralty commercial law, legal instruments of New Zealand, customary native chiefs land transfer to the corporate British Crown, our legitimate partners flying the flags together on Waitangi Marae. So there's that meaning of a partnership clearly in front of you that this is saying that's what that means. A flag, number 13, a flag that gave New Zealand 5-point star 1902 Union Jack flag life, gave it life from this 1835 Declaration of Independence flag given by King William IV, sovereign monarch, British UK. So that's where the Maori Land Court got its authority from, was from this 1835 Declaration of Independence, which belongs to the Queen's Crown and not the King's Crown. Get that one straight. Make sure you've got the jurisdiction of the Queen that created the 1835 Declaration as a new founding of New Zealand contract in 1840. So you have to decide who founded first. Who founded first and who founded with a flag, a British flag. And so it's very difficult for them to prove that the whakaputanga found New Zealand in 1840 with a whakaputanga. It just doesn't work. It won't work legally in a court of law. See, so that's that one. Number 14, flag flown continuously at Waitangi. That flag's been flying continuously every Waitangi day. That flag's up. So that just shows they are usurping it for their mana and their authority to use it in the meantime while they're caretaker government, not really there for you because you didn't elect Jacinda Ardern as your prime minister. She was designed to go into the position so that they can have control from an outside source of government in the EU and the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, and that's what happened there. So we're taking control of her, little us, and put it back into our title and dissolve her and lock her up. So that's what this court is saying. Lock her up because she's promoting misinformation against us with this Debbie thing and killing people. I'm saying in here flat out they are murderers, and I'm not going to let up on that in the court. I'm not going to let up on what they are doing to cull the humanity out, and it's getting caught out. It's getting really caught out, and we drop the power note on their head while they're doing it, and then the evidence will come out. But we're just saying out aloud that it is a corrupted fraud corporation business of a foreign government and not New Zealand government. That it's owned but it's run by these pirates on the high sea, and so that's what that black part of the flag seal to stop pirates. And if we're going to use it to stop them with that black seal, and British have to answer to us: are they going to come with us? If they don't, then we go to someone else to contract with the pound note, like BRICS. And BRICS is China, Brazil, um, Russia, India, and China and South Africa. So we got the option of going there, and the Philippines, where our gold is hidden, and we go to Tonga and Fiji. So those are British colonies still until this World Economic Forum and the UN takes over this country with our flag. They started on one, Cook Island, then they'll work their way around back to New Zealand and take the whole lot over. See? So there. I'm just warning Michael Boyce and the Navy in Britain. Are you there for us? Or are you there for the Rothschilds? And you want to keep that going and killing people in the world with this flag. We're saying, no, it is our flag. Stop using it. And I want you, Michael Boyce, to stop them using this flag for war. Stop the war today and no more because we said so. We said so. Us sitting out today and reading this out to you to make it legal and lawful and legitimate. So there, we're wrapping that all up and for you to decide and tell us very quickly what your intention is after receiving this video live, live chiefs, live people here today, and we're not dead in those dead courts. And so we're saying live thing for the live flag contract. So we live contract, live people, live documents, live everything with bullets of these documents. See? So there, we got our ammunition here in these books. And I'm glad that Reg Monaco has got a little bit of what it means, and he's accepted so far something that he can see and understand at least a little bit of it until he gets the full story. It takes time to absorb this whole thing, and for elders, it's very difficult to try and absorb everything in one go. So there, plenty of time to do that. My phone is always there. You can get me anytime. I'll answer every question you want to know about where to from here. So number 16, the Confederation of Chiefs flag holds the King's Bench Magistrate Court jurisdiction of Admiralty of the Fleet Michael Boyce, Lord High Admiral, rule of law of commercial contracts of Britain, Royal Navy ships sailing around the world, as well as submarines, aircraft traveling free passage through the world of banking trade merchants, manifest cargo for the King's Crown corporate business and Confederation of Chiefs owning up now in 2022 to this missing link. So the flag is the missing link to someone who's native, and the native people have to get up and take back what belongs to them. So that's what I'm here for. 17, an international flag, that's what it is, that belongs to the Confederation of Chiefs Executive Committee, that's us here, and elders and Hapu, sovereign native Rangatira, the young ones coming up to take our places, to get out of the road. I do my bit, get out of the way and let them carry on. They've got a plan to follow and quickly learn. And so we can be happy when we go to the ferries that there's something being done. Mohi's up there, he's watching. He's watching and keeping me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock this morning, to get up and carry on. Don't stop. Don't stop now. An international flag that belongs to the Confederation of Chiefs. I said that one. Number 18. This flag is the real, true, highest British King William IV flag, Admiral, Crown, and Anchor, mortgage, lien, legal instrument, money making, trade, generation. Flag superseding all other inferior Royal Navy flags of legal contract substance of Navy, Sea, and Land Transfer Certificate of Title, documents, seals of the King of Westminster, Parliament, Britain, Crown, original King George III, who founded America, the father of King William IV and King George IV and King Augustus I. He founded Canada, Australia, Ireland, India, East India Company, and Africa, Pacific Islands, and so on. Native land certificates, bank mortgage instruments, means of making money and business under King William III, King William IV, Admiral of the Sea, and land without a bar or dock. So that's that little instrument there. And number 19, the Confederation flag is a King William IV British Crown sovereign Royal Navy flag ruling authority for the Sea of Admiralty through four corners of the world on dry land, in the sky, under the sea. Now we enforce these orders as acts of New Zealand and Britain, UK federal government, which is the federal flag, by the way, joint partnership today, and Moai Crown King William IV Trust. So we're booting off the trust today to take over the trust of Queen Victoria because it's got no head of the trust. We've got to go in because it's up to the trustees of any trust to replace or sack the trustee if they're misbehaving or running roughshod of the trust with our names on it. So there, that's what that one is, taking over the trust and putting it back in our crown and not any other crown. 20. The Confederation flag is being continuously fraud usurped by New Zealand government who lets America and the Vatican use it to make their wealth from all these 20 legal inheritance Maui Crown patent protected instruments. Why I keep on saying Maui Crown is because that's what they use the memorial stone for long everlasting. They'll be there for another 10,000 years, still standing there in its original state. So that's why they say the Freemasons use all those titles on high hills. They've got their symbols there all over the country. So that's their state. Ours is the big one, the Moai. That's our Polynesian title to the whole world. So that they took our mana away from us and now we're getting it back. We're legislating the Moai and that land that he's sitting on his ahu whenua under his backside as the title of Moai. So there, that's us in the Pacific Island to bring all the Polynesian people together and take hold of this native title. So there, we're New Zealand government who lets America and Vatican use it to make their wealth from these 20 legal instruments, patented, protected instruments. So that's a patent. The flag, everything in the flag is patent. Everything I do in these documents are patented. Everything we say is patented. So they can't steal the information. If that's what Georgie Job is doing for the whakamininga Maori government. They're stealing all this information. That's why they got their photo in the court and they can't get out of it. This contract. They can't get out of this contract. They're stuck with their contract against this contract. So there, they have to pay for the mistake they make. It's very serious mistakes when you get it wrong. You get it wrong, you get this on your head. So that's our weapon. That's our weapon is the financial instruments as per better than guns. Their protection, financial investment is guns and rockets and all that sort of thing to protect what they stole. So there, we take the veil away and put this authority back in place. So a little bit more of the last one. Um, Moai Crown Patent Protected Instruments. Now it's our Confederation of Chiefs Authority, legal authority, court orders here today to audit the Crown Corporation's accounts in America using this flag as our jurisdiction or admiralty of the fleet. Michael Boyce, British Royal Navy power to accumulate US Congress government or accumulate all its British Crown wealth that we as trust shareholders shall audit Britain, UK, and US Congress government accounts and challenge them all now. Where did they get their legal authority from to make their wealth on the dry land behind a sea sandbar and dry dock court when the Confederation flag's admiralty doesn't need a bar and dock where we hold our Zoom video court hearings online against America, Canada, Australia, Britain, UK, now in 2022, expose their fraud business with this flag, true partners in business of the Confederation of Chiefs of New Zealand today here. And the other ones, there's nobody in the Confederation with enough information to call themselves a confederation other than what we've got here. The people I choose in the Confederation of 12 people are learning how to run an effective British Confederation of Chiefs land title and instruments against anybody that's pirating the lands here. So that's what we are here for, to go after the pirates So I'm going to go on to the legislation now, and that's the end of it. So this one might take a little bit of time, and I don't know whether you wanted a break or just carry on. I'll just carry on till I finish, but it's a long read, and I still have to say, in legislation of this court against the legislation of the government system, and I have to say it because that's the only way we can put notice on anybody playing with this flag jurisdiction and legislation of Britain. So I'm going to say um, legislation of Native Magistrate King's Bench Court declaration. Today I'm making a declaration and proclamation of these legislations of King William IV flag. So I'm putting these seals and the meaning of the seals and these legislations and the constitution of the flag is locked and entrenched in institute law in Westminster to let them know that they're obligated to us to honor that entrenchment of these orders from their law system against any inferior outlaw that's got no law, and we have that against them. We have the Constitution, a superior Constitution. We got a superior flag, and we own it today, and as natives, and then we have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, 1689 Bill of Rights, clean cut. It's clean. It's got no corruption in it, like the Bill of Rights here. They're trying to change with legislation to take out everything and take your human rights away and all your Bill of Rights and things like that away from you, so you have no power. So that's what they're doing with the Declaration of Inconsistencies Amendment Bill that they haven't been passed yet, so that they take away your human rights and your Bill of Rights with their legislation, and we just legislate right over the top of it and dissolve them today. That's what we're doing. So we've got, I'll just carry on with this legislation. Reassert the King William IV 1834 flagship of Admiralty, British Crown Native land title, leases. These are all lease papers, and British Crown lands, European lands, all freehold lands, Maori Crown lands, foreign ownership lands, any of the New Zealand Crown lands shall be terminated of their 99-year leases, and LINs, Land Information New Zealand land titles, terminated and transferred today into the British, UK, New Zealand, Aotea country, and Moai Crown King William IV Trust, UK, New Zealand. We've got our own credit company here. I've just waited for Eru Manukau and his company that he's got his own way to do things. I've got no say on this land. He's got to say. Regs has got the authority here, and not me. So I'm just giving you a model plan of the whole world. The whole world, right over the top of the United Nations where Eru is. They don't have this king's power. You see? So he was taking the flag over there. No, we go the other way, where it came from. Because you can only be one of their system with the flag as being a number. And that's all. They'll just reduce its power in the flag, and you're only going to be a country with a flag of your own, but not the whole world. So we're going the whole world and the trust and everything. So that's what this legislation of the flag to reassert its use for us to use. And joint partners, we are joint partners of Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited. That's what Moi wanted. He wanted it like that. Not mixed up with Ngāti Whātua. They split it up. They chopped the name up in bits like how they normally do, and changed Aotea in Kaipara to Aotearoa. Moi said, no, that's not right. They changed it. So there, they changed the name and put Aotearoa, where Moi said it was Aotea before that. So there, those are mischief things that the Maori government have done to make themselves the king of the land, landlord. So we're here today as landlord, Michael Boyce. The native is the landlord. That's in commercial terms what a landlord is, the keeper of the land. So there, we're just putting a commercial value on what a landlord is in our language and the way of our writing. Capitals mixed up with small letters, I don't care. Sometimes I write in big capitals, and sometimes I write in little. So it means nothing, really. I just shout when I do capitals. Native shareholders, creditors against those Confederation of Chief Executive and court rules as judgment debtors in this native magistrate Kingsbridge court hearing today, sworn the declaration today, 28th of October 2022, to King William III, King George III, King George IV, King William IV, King Ernest Augustus I, and King Ernest Augustus V, to his 68 and his son is 32. So there, King line Dutch Protestant all the way, and it's still like that in Westminster. It's still Protestant under those kings, and there they changed the whole thing around, and we're changing it back. So there, so we go on to and swear our oath to Mohi Manukau, Timati Manukau the fourth, and his Confederation of Chiefs, Araroa Native Magistrate Court Bank here on this 10-acre native land block, 20 Commercial Road, Helensville, Kaipara Harbour, First Native Land Court, Awaroa Bank of New Zealand, that transferred to the BNZ, Queen Street, Auckland, to the League of Nations, to the United Nations, to the World Bank, came from here, right here, locked in history. Your first mortgage, land survey, title instruments to get a bank loan to develop these native lands, which you live on now. We review the lease. We are reviewing the lease today, whether we terminate it. I'm saying we terminate it today, and the lease and the transfer of lands back into the British Native Land Court, where it came from, under the Confederation of Chiefs. This Confederation here today, people representing it for Moi and Eru, and the lease and transfer of lands back into the British Native Land Court under the Confederation of Chiefs Native People of New Zealand. So everybody's a native of New Zealand, and they have a right to be claimants of shareholding straight away with what we recover in debt. So there, it's spread amongst everybody here and the world for that matter, but we're starting here first, number one, and that's it. Native land which you live on now, we reviewed the lease and transfer of lands back into the British Native Land Court under the Confederation Chiefs Native People of New Zealand equally, and dissolve all land titles back into this Araroa Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank, and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament and Queen Victoria titles foreclosed and liquidated through legislation acts here today, what we're doing from this court. I shall read out in public internationally, so it's going around the world today, internationally, a declaration of war today, but that's war flag, declaration of war on the banks and the Rothschild Queen Victoria financial institutions, pound note, fiat US dollar, and CDC currency that are a threat to our partner, as Pope Francis said, use adequate laws that we have here, good, strong laws, adequate laws to combat criminal organization. This is his word. It's all in here, all his counts that we put 90 of those counts to pull out anyone against anybody. They can't get out of what the Pope is saying. Legally, lawfully, under the affidavits and Native Magistrate Court rulings and legislation of a dual republic. It's a republic flag, federal flag, UK, New Zealand partnership. So we're trying to stitch together us and the British and put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And he fell off the wall, and the City of London burned to bits. And so we're going to clean them out and start all over again. Partnership, corporate, government, hydrogen economy, tidal turbine share, energy, economic development plan, my world federal government structure set in place from 31st of October 2022. So it's starting from today, the 28th, but that's a working day when everything becomes effective from the court. So in the Kaipara, we had our tidal turbine project when Nada Glavis put her Crest Energy project in there, but she asked for 200 turbines and only got 2 out of the whole deal. And they wanted this big tidal energy bridge, but I had no finance or no backup to get it off the ground. So the power note will get it off the ground. And that, go ahead, it belongs to you. Everything belongs to you. Legislation of the native title over the population of New Zealand, 5.04084 million people, of which 10% are elite Crown corporation agents and public corporations feeding off the corrupt government's policies and legislation. We legislate out today in these orders of this court in a declaration of war between the natives and Westminster Parliament, Crown corporations, King William IV. Flag is what the flag is, its legal title. 90% of the population is what we determine as a percentage of creditors over the 10% New Zealand Crown Corporation debtors. So that's the formula we're using against them and liquidated of their business or pay the New Zealand Crown debt bill of that green pound note, the big one, 970 million trillion pound note, which will sink the whole lot of them. And they won't say, I'm waiting for them to say, no, that's not the right figure. This is the figure. So what I'm waiting is to draw them out. It's a figure, a big end top figure from the Swiss Indo. All those figures there, OPPT, and all those figures where I got my figures from, of research into a value of way back to 1689, King William III. So I'm valuing all the corporations all the way through the years that was corrupted, and all that wealth that they stole came out of there. That's where the big figures, not from 1835. It's go right back where the corporations started from. And all that wealth went into the Queen's Crown, and they robbed the whole lot. So we get it back. And pound note, the trillion pound note, legal instruments, and 28th of October 2022, and pay the New Zealand and British militaries with the pound note against the missing gold, the land, birth certificates, and properties of these criminals. We can liquidate their assets now legally with the power of our flag, title, jurisdiction, and King's seals that I just mentioned, or made outline or made statements to. The seals, emperors, king's emperors of Britain, great seals of the Admiralty, of Fleet Authority flagship contract deal with other countries, allies, that we can join up the militaries there and pay them too at the same time under contract with the pound note, as well as 20 billion pound note each for starters with the Maui pound note, Patterson 2-bar contract, British patent instrument, all legal instruments these in Westminster City under the Maui Powerhouse Bank establishment. So we've got Cecile going to look after that lot here, and Andy Devine will look after the bank and all that transaction stuff in Britain with me. And when they get it all, then that job for me is finished. Then I can go happily and retire somewhere in the Philippines or somewhere. So 3, legislation again of New Zealand government and Maori incorporations, Royal Federation Police, that they're flying this flag. And the Ministry of Justice, New Zealand Sovereign Crown Seal of New Zealand, that's what they're calling it now, that flag, the Whakaputanga flag, Queen Elizabeth II and the Maori Chief New Zealand Crown Seal for beneficiaries is redundant because King Charles replaced the Queen Crown Seal jurisdiction of Britain, holds no legal jurisdiction in that seal. Now Queen Elizabeth II is not the Crown, and using the Admiralty law military at their discretion started in September 2021. So they have their jurisdiction outside the British law system here in New Zealand, the Crown of New Zealand, the Little Crown I call it, and still try to link to Britain with no land titles is a problem of who legally has jurisdiction and ownership of this flag as native or as Maori first. So we're saying the native were given the flag and not the Maori. I'm saying that here clearly today that is the case in legal terms of real estate and law, contract law. Is who owns the flag is someone with the documents that that can talk, king talk to the land, the land title, the first land title. So there, that's what that means. The ownership of the flag is the instrument to go with the flag. For legislation, Bundy Waitai and Manahi Mohini signed the Native Magistrate King's Bench Court documents to the Confederation of Native Chiefs King William IV Flag, 1834, corporation contract on Titi Marae, Te Hapua Marae, and Te Unguwaka Marae in Auckland, and Te Hapua is way up north, in Te Hapua itself, the Spruce Bay, and up right up the top of the North Island. Marae, we had a native court there, and Te Unguwaka Marae in Epsom, One Tree Hill, to claim Mohi's Kawharu, the giant title, and the Manukau tribesmen pass site on the top of One Tree Hill that the, the, the government dug out all the bones of Mohi's ancestors and put them in the Mount Eden flour mill where Helen Clark lives right on top of it. That's how arrogant they are. And they covered over the gravesite. They had steel fence around it. They ripped that down and put a concrete path right over Kawharu's gravesite and hid the plaque away. So that's the offence here. That's legislating all that lot back into the ownership of Kawharu, the real Kawharu of Whangaroa in Raglan and Whakatu Marae in Nelson. Ross Hona Kawharu. We brought him up Haropu up to One Tree Hill with Mohi Manukau and unveil a new plaque to draw out the old plaque. And that didn't work because they just didn't think they were going to smash it. So I didn't leave it there. I took it away after we finished claiming it. And the Office Treaty Settlement and Treaty Settlement didn't accept that as being a Crown approved treaty claim, Y121. One of the earliest claimants, Y121, Mohi Manukau, and they turned it down. In that court failed. It failed, so that's why we got our own court, so it won't fail and do it this time. We'll do it this time to make sure he says, it's my land, and you say the same thing, it's my land too. See, so that's all you have to do. Let this chief do the business, and then it's yours to claim as well as shareholders when it kicks off the ground. Once you get Cook Street, Mohi wanted that one, and it's $8 billion price tag returned for all the fraud they did on transferring the land title without his name on it. That's what he said. Where's my name? Where's my name? So there. That's what these are. That's what these documents are. For people watching, is we're owning up to a original title. We all got on the land in the first place. So there, to be quite honest. And so it carries on to do with Maori or Whakamininga in these years, 1823, 1945. Between 1823 and 1945, that's the British land records. So it's all fabricated. All the evidence is in the Waitangi Tribunal report that we've split out and screen printed. The difference of what Queen Victoria said about natives, indigenous people of their sovereign lands, and then again, Queen Victoria is saying, oh, the Whakaputanga and the Maori chiefs at the same year. So one is not right and one is true. So you got to make your mind up, people in Ngāpuhi, which way you're going to go and who's going to follow you if you're going to stick to your story but can't get the documents for it. So there, you have to do that. Otherwise, your flag is not legal. It's no legal because Charles Hirschfeld, the Ngāti Pro lawyer, Maori lawyer, that did all my documents for free because he wanted a cut in what I was doing. And he said, no, John, you're wasting your time in the Maori government. It's not going to work because the flag is not legal. You can't do anything with it. until you make it legal, or go to Westminster to get permission to put the legal back in that the government legislated out. So that's for that one. And so we go on to the Declaration of Independence 1835, whakaputanga flag, not like what the king gave the flag for something different as waka and whakaputanga to Maori land, that the King William IV never gave the flag for Pākehā or Maori or whakaputanga. He gave it for the native chiefs for their British crown, nothing else. And you are seeing that you are seeing. So now you fly it for a different contract than Britain. That means you are using a British flag for another contract. That so the native chiefs today, Friday, 20th of October 2022, as betrayal of a king's contract, you say you did not see your sovereignty to the British king's crown. I'm saying that to Napoli. They say they didn't see sovereignty, so why are they flying a king's flag? That's one question. So we take the flag off you in a King's Bench court, the end of your married land title contract. 7. So this court will not let you both sign the title ownership to the New Zealand country paper title security instruments, that the British based court will not allow you to sign a Crown Trust Bank claimant cut off on Friday, the 20th of October 2022. We're cutting it off here in this Araroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court today in Helensville and Russell Bay of Islands tomorrow. No more added signatures to this native title. We cut off, no more adding any more names. We've got enough. We've got 2 here. We just need 1 or 2 up there. And if we don't find them, that's it. We don't get anybody on the title. So there. It just depends how Gregory up there with his Napoli people can find a true native surname chief. And I, the one, as a native assessor, and Philip Newton here with Philip Te is a native assessor like me. We've been in this game for a long time. We know what we're talking about when it comes to talking about native titles. So he's qualified and I'm qualified to say what we say and mean it to be legal. See? So you have to be legal to do anything like this, to go up against a beast that's controlling people with this flag. So, whakaputanga flag of authority to use it for corporate business that leaves only the original surname chiefs is now claim that over the native lands, and that flag we now dissolve everything Maori Pākehā invented over the native lands, and that flag we now dissolve. Oh, sorry, I'm saying it again. Pākehā invented myth title. It's a myth to a picture on the wall authority. That's Queen and the Maori chief, equal to nothing believable or factual information. And if you copy my king chief information, you get a pound note on your heads, 25, and lose everything you own. I warned you all, but you failed to come into the court over 27 weeks of public notification and documents and videos to tell you to come into the court. But if you open your mouth, big mouth, and say the wrong thing, poof, you get a pound note on your head, mate. If you haven't got what it takes to talk king talk. So there, I'm a surrogate king talking king talk and have all the right in the world to represent that flag and its king authority. So there, that's to you people playing around with it. Be careful because it's coming after everybody that's tampering with that illegally. Tomorrow, 25 weeks tomorrow, I was 27 weeks now, I was told by Andy, you are all on trial by association with Cindy Kiro and Jacinda Ardern criminal organization. That's what I'm calling it. That's what the Pope said. Any criminal organization, you have the right to use adequate laws to dissolve them or put them out of business or take everything off them. Anything like that. What the law says, to steal this country, that's what they do, as pirates and snakes. That's what people say the black line is for. Snakes, or you can call it anything. And pirates is just one of them, or thugs, or whatever. You put people who are stealing and using guns to protect their stolen property. See? So there, we're just saying they're thieves, they've stole everything, and we're going to get it all back legally. They got illegally. Ardern Criminal Organization, Jacinda Ardern and Cindy Cara, trial by association, um, um, trying to steal this country as pirates and snakes. We caught you right in the fraud in front of everyone in the world to witness the truth versus assumptions of a pretended government. So no more British flag for you to usurp. That's ending today on the 28th of October 2022 statement here. And don't come to the hearing tomorrow in Kororareka if you have Queen seals with Maori chief and fake whakapapa. The British are watching you, mischief, and watching me expose it all so we can shut the book on Maori mess and corruption, not using, I don't blame all the Maoris around the place, I blame the ones in government and parliament that are screwing all the Maoris outside. They don't care. They don't care a bit about you. They got no heart and they're just money on the brain. And so not using that festering poison problem to pass on to the next generation. The corruption is poison. Next generations, we are ending the bad blood past of war and take the flag back to stop all bank wars by using the King's flag power to liquidate the Rothschild Bank today. It's pound note, 1 bar pound note, and fiat money, scam business, off the native British people's homeland. The Awaroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank shall begin on Friday, the 28th of October 2022, with the first native land title seizure from 31st of October 2022. That's Cook Street, 1 bar 6177 Cook Street, 98 Wellesley Street, Auckland, property straight away. So I've got some work to do about that one. That they can't do anything about it this time. And go to it. I could just about go and get it myself. with the police got these. The police commissioner has got these documents, and the police minister of police has got these documents as well. So they've been on notice, but say nothing. They say nothing and shut their mouth. So 3 strikes there. And so long as the British people desire to want to keep us, Monday, keep us together under King Ernest Augustus V or his son Ernest Augustus VI, as our court orders them onto the throne, immediately replace King Charles' illegitimate criminal monarch, illegal crown, and seize the Queen Victoria Trust account. That's what we're doing today in this legislation here against this government's legislation, and account and British Crown assets back into the Maori Crown King William IV Trust and King Ernest Augustus V, King of Britain, UK, Hanover, New Zealand, and 250 countries. This flag is going into of the world control. And yeah, and yeah, killer. And and them all in this legislation breakdown of the big green pound note theatre instrument over them all and pay the world military to go after them all, thugs and pirates, who abuse our King's flag Admiralty rule law. And cut off the signing on Saturday, the 29th, or Saturday, tomorrow. No, we're cutting it off today, right now. No more, tomorrow, sorry. Saturday on Ngāpuhi signing. Tomorrow, cut, no more after that. That's it. October 2022. So I'll go right over who they come up with and to make to decide whose name goes on the title. So there, to take to Westminster Parliament House of Lords, Michael Boyce, Admiral of the Fleet, and the Magistrate Court Land Records in Glasgow. That's where the court is, the native court for these titles here. with Rev Monaco and Queen Victoria there, and Edinburgh, Scotland, to match Te Waikato's Wharehere Manukau's title is in Edinburgh with the Freemasons, their main office there. Up and mount our native land title deeds to the founding of New Zealand in 1834 and not 1840, Maori New Zealand corrupted government, private corporations. We shall liquidate their businesses after Monday, the 31st working day, October 2022. Is at an end, what I'm saying in the court today, of the Rothschild Bank and the WEF America wars using our Admiralty martial law flag to perpetuate war. We liven up our flag jurisdiction and legislation in this remote dry land court with our King William IV free King William IV laws of Admiralty mortgage liens on native lands we recover back to their native people born on their sovereign land. Get back now and legislate in this court today to lock them up, those we identified a likeness to their photos locked in this court today anywhere in the world without a bar and dock to try you all in online. The Maori government whakamininga and whakaputanga impersonation of this flag they no longer associate with Britain without proof of an original native land title shall be legislated out today and prorogued, that means put into recess, the New Zealand government from Monday, 31st working day, October 2022, in the hands of the British Royal Navy and Armed Forces. From these orders I make today for the natives of their sovereign lands of New Zealand under one British law and Maui Crown LORE, King's LAW law, man's law, and God law of truth, LORE, tikanga law of truth, sovereign authority to God of his universe of no Bibles, but my God's memorial to his earth, planet, invention, spherical world. That means it's round, oval, round, and not a flat earth like those stupid people are saying. The earth is flat. I can't see a flat earth. Where's the water going to go off the edge? And so they're stupid people. But anyway, that's a bit of meaning of we don't use Bibles in these courts. We just use face to face online and make decisions in front of each other. It's the most economic way to hold a hui or court hearing without all the added expense and just limited to control of the whole thing like we do in this court and switch it off when we're finished because no one can talk like this. No one can ever talk like this. We got 32 legislations to go. So I'm just going to carry on going, and they'll have to sit and listen all the way through because it's a once in a lifetime of laws and legislation of kings on top of your heads everywhere in the world. Okay, so I have to say it because I'm getting tired of talking. Legislation cut off signing from Araroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank reinstated on this land 20 Commercial Road, Helensville, site of the First Native Court Bank, reassert that legal authority, bank law, and Freemasons survey land certificates for bank loans of King William IV before Queen Victoria corrupted the King's Corporation law for themselves. Tohunga Hone Meihana Mason will convey the tikanga law afterwards when we finish his interpretation to all you Maori people listening to how a native talks, and you make your own mind up what's best for you as Maori if you want to carry on being Maori after today. So there, you got a choice of being native or you got a choice of being Maori, and you can switch anytime when you know you're happy about it. See, so I can't force nothing on anybody. I'm just stating the law of kings. tikanga law of this court into law, Lawlore, of the native people born on these native lands, as shareholders and landowners of everything we recover, equally sovereigns of the lands, extant, that's the flag is extant forevermore, in our control, full control, not half control or less, and dual British New Zealand federal government. So we are federal government that's telling Britain, you're better off to join with us, and we'll use these instruments to prop you back up where you're getting knocked out, because you've got silly people in government with stupid brains that are pedophilia and all that dirty stuff going on in there, and this government over here too, and all that stuff. They like it like that. They like stupid, dirty things, and we don't like what they're doing with our land and what our people, and jabbing the hell out of them, so that they're not going to be the same human anymore. They're going to be guinea pigs, or they're going to be robots that they can switch on and off and get rid of. The government flag jurisdiction forever more in our control, and dual British New Zealand federal government flag jurisdiction, Freemasons 10%, Britain 40%, natives of the world in 250 countries 50%. There's fair equity share in the King William IV Queen Victoria Trust legal inheritance. That's what you call legal inheritance. Seize control of U.S. Congress and America stranglehold on this world using our King William IV federal flag, Admiralty martial law. They're using the martial law of the flag to wage war on everybody and steal the countries they rob. That's what America is doing, and Israel is doing, and all those countries that still corporatizing countries they don't even own, and just use the King's law to seize them into their ownership, and the poor people get kicked off the land in Israel. So that's a bad thing going on. And America do. They do bring in the immigrants to take out the people and their rights. The immigrants get more rights and money than the people who live on the flipping land. So the same here. They do the same, bring all the immigrants here, and they look after them and not the people on the land. So there, that's going to change now, because we are legislating all of that out in these acts of this court today, and using King's laws. All the acts of King William, I usually would put them here with these legislation acts when use the act of King William. So at some stage I'll do that and revise the next book with those King's acts. 19 A4 pages of King William IV acts, and that's just as much laws as you need to do. It's in this book, and it's there for us to use in these courts over here. And they'll run hills when they see this coming. Legislation 5, cut off signing from Araroa. I see that. So we go down to the next page. Go to the next page. I'm going to try and skip through quickly. And I marked out under this direction to take the British Land Courts in Scotland, Freemasons' main office in Edinburgh. That's where I'm going. When I go back with our delegation of Confederation people to go into the land court and to cite the title of Te Waikato Wharehere de Manukau in Edinburgh under the Freemasons. So they'll understand what we're talking about, because it's their title that we're going there and owning up as the owners on this block here. So there, that's what we're intending to do. 6 legislation, the Awaroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court declaration, Helensville build the courthouse back here to start the Awaroa Maui Royal Pacific Bank here on this land for the Manukau Rogan family, and put that, reinstate that history back on this land. So that's what it's going to be, a courthouse that's monumental in its world domination of corporatization of this land. So there, and so we want to advertise it as being a historic document to take into the future. Of people can now say where they come from and stick together and don't split them up like how the families have been broken up. And what we're doing is legislating them back to their original families and be normal again. Six legislation of the Araroa Magistrate Court and the Araroa, I say that. A mortgage instrument started the World Bank from here. A bit of native land here, legacy and authority to create bank loans, mortgages, instruments, and license to print money. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to start printing the money here on this land block online, not physically come here, but in time that will be passed back to these people of the land here, and then they'll have their full control instead of a little bit of control under the iwi and the Maori authority. So we've got native court, financial investment, banking, federal, state, self-government is what we're doing. Policies is what we're doing, set out in our native constructed British government manual from the King William III, King George III, King George IV, King William IV, first contract, King George IV, and Paramount Chief Te Rawakato Wharehere Manukau in 1823, native land title. So we're going right back to square one. And King William IV, Crown, and Revereva Manukau, and Ngāpuhi Chiefs, Queen Victoria Crown, native land title, 1834 to 1862 Native Land Act, which is Revereva Manukau. Only his name on east to west of the North Island is in his name, which shows you he had enormous powers back then. But he didn't have control of them, the government did. But they had to put their authority from where they started their land title. That's one over there and this one. That's one there and this one. That's how the story goes. That's our true story of how this country was constructed with engineers and all those people in the Freemasons, with planning and all the mechanics, lawyers, judges, and everybody like that. The accountants. That's what they were. That's what they were. They designed the whole of Auckland and everything in this country on their documents. It's a bit of paper. But you own the land, but they own the paper. See? So, 7 legislation. Whakaminia has no King William IV British flag jurisdiction or legal instruments to contract law of Britain to follow the correct path the King gave that flag for and are following the New Zealand Private Corporation 1986 Constitution 1840 Treaty of Waitangi contract agreement with the Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II. They're just waiting for Ngāpuhi to settle $150 million settlement, and they'll cut the Maoris off altogether, and that will be the end of Maori land and everything Maori, because they're taking their own name, brand, patent out. And so you'll be left as Maori on your own, and then you've got to make your own instruments. When we've got a whole truckload of it here. You've got whole truckloads over here. But you need somebody to manage it and look after it on the land over here. Not anybody or John Wanoa. So that's what I'm saying here. Quite plainly, it belongs to the people here. They got their name on the land. I got my name on my land down the East Coast. I can talk for the land over there. With the same principle from here. On that land over there. It goes right around from here. That's what I'm saying here. Reg, to your family, you have title that everybody can look at and see where they're fitting into your whakapapa and your native title to Britain. And that's how it works in commerce. End of story. So I say here on number 7, legislative whakamininga has no King William IV British flag jurisdiction or legal instruments. I said that before. So the incorporations of te whakamininga o ngā rangatira, it's on your company incorporation seals, that's the Queen and the Maori Chief, are all complicit in Jacinda treason case because she's got the same Maori Chief and a Queen Elizabeth look-alike, and they're all swearing to that. picture in their corporation and in corporation. That's why Philip the Awhitu here and Philip Newton pulled out of the incorporation, because I used to be in the incorporation, pulled out and came here because they are looking for their own native court model and native land title. So they push it. They push it here because they're way ahead of anybody else that will try to do the same thing without the authority from these guys over here. So authority here of this native title. Nowhere else. Plainly, clearly. And memorials and tupunas of British. You can have your own tupunas for your own piece of land if you make up to each other. That's what they're doing in Ngāpuhi today and yesterday. Make up to each other and accept things that are written in here. Shut your eyes and sign the damn thing and get on with it. That's all you have to do, because it's just a piece of paper that's got some power in it, real power. And you can do that too if you just switch over and get out of the rat race and get into your own freedom and do this. Do it when I come up afterwards, when I finish talking, and I can bid Reg goodbye for now and give him all the information he needs. He's got his family. They can talk to me live on Messenger. Any question they want answered or any documents, but I'll tell them where to go to get them. There's 83 Facebook sites with all the information over the years. I've been in a long time, and also YouTube and Twitter and Google and the website. I've got the website all over the place because it got hacked, and I'm just trying to build it up, but I've got too much going on. And one finger typing is a big job. The incorporation is last year then. So, te whakamininga and ngā rangatira is on your company, incorporation shields are all complicit in Jacinda treason. We're having you all up on treason because you're talking to each other. You're talking to each other and you're sharing your information in your contract, which is dead. It's gone dead because she's dead, and it's gone to Charlie King now. So you have to destroy your Queen document, because my estimation is they're not going to be a Queen for a long time yet. So, so that's a problem Maori have got. What the hell are they going to do after today? Which way they're going to go? Stay with Jacinda and go and bite the bullet and see your people drop dead? In 2 years' time, the jabbies will drop dead in front of your eyes. And that's happening every so often. People are dropping dead and out of nowhere. There's no real, um, 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 uh, no real proof that it's safe when the narrative of the government is promoting that it's safe but can't prove it. So we legislate the whole thing out and be done with it today. The case now by your Queen Maori seal contract of Queen Bench Court of criminal organisation, get the pound note debt bill. I've warned everyone about if you get, okay, mate, good, thanks for coming. Tell your family this is for you. Yep.
And you'll see me a lot more.
Yeah, good, great. That's what I want to hear from the Davis family to them, that we're here, it's your land, and I'm here. I got my own land down the East Coast. I'll go and talk over there. I finish talking, up to you. You just take a hold of it, and it's yours. All yours. Okay? That's how it works. Yeah. Yeah. Complete my job. It's finished. Right? Okay. Right. Yep. So that's one happy chappy, and that's what I like. It leaves me in a good awe feeling when I go up to Kororareka. I hope the same is over there. I hope we have the same reception there of warming to this idea. That's what I'll go through the trouble and read it, because once it's said, it sticks. It sticks as law from you, native people, to the government and the British people and the government there. that this is how we interpret this flag and its use. We're going to use it as a business flag for the first time. Nobody here has shown and disclosed the use of that flag for what they're doing with it. Some are flying it just for the sake of flying it, waiting for a treaty settlement and honor the treaty, which is dead and fraud. And what are they going to do after that when that's over? And that's a burning question of Mary, what they're going to do after that. It's settled. You've got to buy the land back with some money from somewhere, or you can make one something, out of something, and use your special powers, how to make money, but don't use this flag because it's all being used by us for its intended king's purpose of making business work as it's supposed to be, and not wakas and all that you have in your ideas hasn't worked yet. So you had your turn. It's our turn to use it for the right reasons. So there, I'm just saying out aloud in all this time, so I can take a stack sheet and let you get on with it. So Whakamemea can do your business without you upsetting everyone in Chitimarai. Alfred Mitchell, your name's in there too with your photo. You can't get it off because you were a naughty boy and came and said, oh, you're doing the right things about Tira Waikato, Wharehere Manukau, being a woman and not a chief. And then all of a sudden he turns around and says, no, you're all wrong. You're just not true in what you're saying. And you've got no proof or anything. So I'm just got your name back here, Alfred, just to remind you about what you're saying in front of everybody up there at Ngāpui. I know you're at Waitangi, and you fellows gather where you know you're comfortable with Jacinda Ardern and that communication with your Maori chief and your Pākehā Queen Elizabeth look-alike. And so that's where you're locked. You can't throw your papers away because you don't want to let it go. You want to hold on to it and tell everybody that that's your jurisdiction. So there, I'm just telling you our jurisdiction, which is a good, strong one. And I want to see what you're going to do after today up the hill at Kororareka. Why you would go there to watch the ceremony and your interpretation taking away the mana of that side of the British back to your whakamiminga that you said you didn't cede sovereignty to the British. That means a king and that flag. So what the hell are you going to do now that this is starting to come out in the open and expose what you should have been doing with the flag and not doing other things with it? It's very sad because I've watched it all my life up there. And the whakamiminga myself, go to my website, it's all over there with the whakamiminga and Nuki Ulrich. He always let me talk. And Peter Apiata, the old guy, always let me get up and talk. And I sit with them for lunch all the time. I listen to them and they listen to me. So there. So Kingy, the same thing. Kingy just listen to me, and those people on the young people on Taumata said, sit down, John, sit down. And so I sit down, and Kingy said, get up, get up. So I get up because he's the chief, see? And then after I've talked, he come and signed the document, and that's the end of that. That he said, no, you go to Westminster. Don't come back until you get the answer. I want my land back. See? But he's not there to see his land come back. Neither is Mohi. He's not there to get the land back. But his ancestors, his descendants, I mean, have to take up the reins and finish the war for Mohi. Not me. I've got my own job. I've been in England. And then I retired at 73. So, yeah, I'm not young anymore. And I still got some faculties in my head, still working good after getting jabbed the buggery in the mental home in Middlemore Hospital, tried to get rid of me. And I'm lucky to get out of there. My brother came rescue me, thank you, my brother, Willie, and took me down the East Coast. And they looked after me and stayed on the farm for a good long time. But I still had to get to the hospital and go there and get jabbed all the time, every week. So the treaty, the court as a result of your convictions. Who am I talking about here? The business company chiefs, the Confederation of Chiefs Company Business Kings Bench Magistrate Court hearing here are the rules of the Chiefs Native Magistrate Kings Bench Court, UK, New Zealand, world. You broke, underlined as serious consequences of your actions and put in front of you this court as a result of your convictions that you cannot defend because you are aiding and abetting the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern treason business. You are a treaty partner sealed in your incorporation business, and you will be arrested and imprisoned immediately of your offences to stop our company's contract. So that's what they're doing. They're interfering with our contract with the flag. How many pages left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll get to it. I'll get to it because I'm tired. No, but I'm going to read it anyway. That's it. Business with Britain, UK Navy, Admiral of the Fleet, and Westminster Parliament. You tampered with our court proceedings when you have no experience of trust in something as transparent as this organisation, and you copy and implement our King's Court bench bank trading contract business. I'm talking about those marriage playing around with our documents. Plans of going to Westminster. They were going to go to Westminster and frog all this stuff. That's Alfred Mitchell and go there and prove that we're wrong. It's a dopey thing to do. Plans of going to Westminster Parliament because the Freemasons will stop them. And Westminster Parliament yourself with a delegation and funded this what was happening with the incorporations of Alfred and Michael Main and Williams and all the rest of them banded up against me, and Alfred just about knocked my head off because he wanted me to punch him back and get into trouble and put the police on me, which was very bad. It was very bad to do that. And never mind, it's all finished now. So that's all out of the way. We can get on with it. And be charged with the same of tampering with the commercial long-standing contract is treason against the federal, state, UK, and New Zealand Confederation of Chiefs legitimate and legal authority business you are tampering with. I forbid you and your delegation of Hapu Incorporation going to Westminster from stealing our chief's intellectual King Seal patented information. This is what the government's doing, but they won't go to Westminster. They go to the United Nations because they can't go to Westminster because they'll get turned down. The government here will get turned down. They won't go there. Tampering, and I forbid you and your delegation of Hapu Incorporations going to Westminster from stealing our chief's intellectual King Seal patented information. You and your entire incorporation are liable for your serious assault and theft of information offences, which I prosecute you all today. That's already gone past. We had that court hearing about that. It was very serious. And so that was the end of that one. I'll just carry on. That was that case. And this legislation here. Number 8, legislate the Maori Whakaputanga flag of New Zealand foreign government, sovereign crown Whakamininga corporation, the legal authority against the British Crown, meaning of the King's native surname, Indigenous Confederation of a small group of sovereign landowner chiefs who interpret the King's flag of jurisdiction of what language and laws King William III and King William IV gave that flag as native land title deed, doctrines of discovery title of an indigenous native inhabitant as Manukau, Kawharu, and the Wanoa, got my name in there, to speak out as King's law talk and documents as surrogate king, saying the true and correct meaning of the words Confederation of Chiefs flag, and what I'm saying are true and correct meaning. Oh, I see that. What I write is the King's law of New Zealand with the native land law court legislation attached to King William III Acts of Westminster Parliament 1689 and attached to King William IV 1830 to 1837, fixed in this court hearing today, read out on today, on the land of Awaroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court, Helensville, and Okiato Native Magistrate Court in Kororareka, Russell, Bev Islands, tomorrow by me, the surrogate King William IV, with that flag claim ownership of the native born people of New Zealand. So there, it's all the born people on New Zealand, but mainly the first born people of New Zealand that are living, not the dead people, the living ones, that have to pick up this and knock anything out of the road and get on with their life. Leave them alone. Just leave them alone and get out. Legislate New Zealand government counterfeiting of the Confederation flag as a copy whakaputanga flag threat against our native sovereign people of New Zealand with their whakamininga Maori government. Administrators Georgie Job and Antoinette James with Jacinda Ardern and Cindy Kiro criminal organisation saying the same language and intentions claiming our King William IV flag for their queenless Maori myth illusion government under corrupt missionary land title. The missionaries put that together and transfer to Maori Pākehā title. We, the natives, terminate you Maori and Pākehā New Zealand land title today and on the 28th of October 2022 for corrupting our King's law, constitution, and legislation with your own dreamed up legislation and constitution, but no law, and so we legislate. British law, translated to what I am writing now as native law legislation, transliterated to King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament. I'm saying some, repeating myself sometimes, but I just do it that way because it goes away and then I've got to get up in the morning and carry on and join it up and try and say this. And that's why I'm double up saying some of the things, but it means something. It means something to you. So because you are stating clearly, we can get this edited out one day, someone can fix it all up and make it look better and present it better than what I do. This is a mechanic's way of writing. I'm writing things, legal instruments. Because you are stating clearly here, Antoinette James, that you have no jurisdiction. That's what they said. They have no jurisdiction. And quoting King William IV, whakaputanga flag, I caught you stealing my valuable information about our Dutch King George III and King George IV, King William IV, and which tells me you are helping yourself to our information to try and create a link to our British flag. So I legislate you out and impersonation of something you are not, and you know nothing about as criminal intent with Georgie Job and Stu Peters, the American media that's pushing the narrative, pushing the Maori whakamininga flag in government on in front of everybody in the world. And I'm dropping this bombshell on top of them to say, no, you are spreading misinformation about something you don't know any about that flag, and it's not your flag to talk that sort of talk. So you get a pound note on your head in a big way for getting it wrong. Whakamininga, Maori government flag, counterfeit, impersonation of something you know nothing about as criminal intent, guilty job, stupid pushing your narrative. We locked you in this court because caught in the act of treason against the king's sovereign natives versus your Queen Maori factless, titleless government. You stated that you are learning. So where did you come from to get your learning from? Nine? Ooh, we've got a long way to go. Legislate. We'll get through it, Andy. We'll get through it. We have to. We have to tell them our intention, British and New Zealand government. Legislate. This is our legislation against the legislation here to legislate them out of business, off the native land, off the land. Legislate to seize the New Zealand Crown land titles and Maori European land titles and legal instruments that the jurisdiction of the New Zealand Corporation is corrupted of the authority to govern this country anymore comes to an end on Friday today, 28th October 2022, as insufficient evidence to answer to our King's Bench Magistrate Court martial law flag ruler evidence against Jacinda Ardern Maori government in a default contract with Ngā Atua Iwa Aotea Limited creditor and Moai Crown King William IV trust creditor over you all who have no legitimacy or native land title to New Zealand, as damaging your Maori image of fraud, racketeering, piracy on the high sea. Notably, Mr. Pākehā, King William IV, warned us about snakes, and you fit this character description of the black lines around the small red cross of our contract flag. You flogged that story from my patented information that you are committing crimes like your ancestors. So there, that's talking about snakes because I said snakes. So you caught them out saying snakes. You see, where'd they get the snake from? Where'd they get the snake from? 10. Legislation, Pandi Waitai and Manahi Mohini have given their mana to the Whakamininga and Maori Whakaputanga flag and not the full support of the native King's Bench Magistrate Bank, King's British authority. So unfortunately, I cut you both adrift into the Sea of Admiralty, caught in the sea with the New Zealand Sovereign Crown Government, where your iwi Maori have betrayed the King of Britain flag for their own Maori thinking heads, like yours are thinking not like a king who gave the flag for the Confederation and not for a Maori whakaputanga and whakamininga Maori government, when there is already a Maori government screwing the native-born people on these lands that they are the landowners in the eyes of the law of the king emperors are represented as a native indigenous writer of king's laws and legislation forced on your heads now with this king's flag. You have no idea of its power in the wrong hands. Now Biden's hands caught him out with it. That shows you the snakes knew this power all along, the watchtower. We take it back off all of you usurpers and mystical Maori Pākehā pretenders that people had enough. You did not cede your sovereignty to the British Crown. So why the hell are you flying a British flag, King's flag, Crown British flag, then calling it a Whakaputanga flag? Did the King say that? What he gave it to you, Maori, for? No. You made all that whakapapa stories up in your head. And what? And expect the king to believe you, and still you can't get it off the ground because you have no legal instrument over the land. You are a part of the big land threat to take it all off you and give it to someone else. And you have no way of getting it back but go to war like the Pākehā in the government, using our flag for war. We now legislate the threat of that flag off them. And we must page it according to pitch. I'm getting to the end. I'm getting close. Just about. Just about. Thanks for hanging on. You're carrying their corruption and talking to each other in a mirror image of one another in the same vein, conversation and treaty claims amongst yourselves, caught in a mess. You created this court legislates the trustees and corporations out off the land today of these native lands, terminate the Maori European 99-year lease lands, returns to the native people, drafting the title transfer in British. The wind they're blowing, my paper's around. In British, in British law in our native court jurisdiction. So the flag has its jurisdiction and not you flying it around for nothing. And legal authority. We're putting the legal in the flag in the document. That's why they like this. Authority from this original Awaroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court. Bang! Pound note, my pound note. Money, legal, paper, instrument against all of you photographed criminal, we're calling you criminal, acting stupid on our native sovereign lands and ownership absolute shareholders. The court legislates that the Moriori were the first original native inhabitants of New Zealand and Chatham Islands, and no one has refuted those stories. And whakapapa, I have on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google since 2008. So that fact is the law today on everyone who has less factual information to put in front of this court and speak to it. So I will speak to it all as superior king talk of legal authority of that King William IV, 1834 corporation business, trading bank flag today, and well, that's today, the 20th of October, 2022, to claim the native land title, the flag of King William IV contract, 1831 to 1834, to the native indigenous surname chiefs, and not marry, legislated out, and the native legislated in as the mana whenua native title landowners, with every native born on this land as equals. So you know how King William IV um, um, crown, you know King William IV thinks before giving that powerful flag to native chiefs who were trading into his British crown and not a replica of his flag. For Maori with a different idea of waka jumping, and ship hasn't been over 182 years of trying to find each other, and their Maori land got sold off by their own Maori people. So don't think you're going to waka jump into the native court when you see what happens and the door is shut after the court hearing today on the 20th of October 2022 at Araroa Native Magistrate Kingsway Court. Signed, sealed this off to Kororareka to sign on Saturday tomorrow, 29th of October 2022, by those who I choose to claim the native title up there. And I'm looking for those people close to Referefa Manukau buried up on Rafferty's 6 Maryland block. So there, that's what I'm going up there to look for someone that can link to him or even a Manukau up there. So there, 2 Manukau, 2 British title. So Maori land court got sold off, Maori land court, their own Maori. So don't think you're going to waka jump into the native court when you see what happens and the door is shut after the court hearing today. Native court, I'm sealed off to Kororareka to sign on Saturday, tomorrow. I chose to claim the native land title, and it won't be anyone who puts it wants to put in whakamininga Maori Crown Court and want to be a Moai Crown Native Court at the same time is not any acceptable in the King's legal speak talk law. Legislate them out of the British King's flag jurisdiction of this court today, and no turning back or forgiveness. No forgiveness, as this is still about the King's corporation business, flag contract, and nothing else matters but hard evidence, loyalty, and truth commitment to the flag. And its 20 legal instruments we legislate in this court today enforce on a hapless criminals that get their photos and their names in this court. They don't, that won't do their research, just pluck from stolen information that will catch you out in front of everyone. You can't join the dots up. So they can't string it together. And they only go a little bit and give up. Legislate your whakaputanga flag has got no legal authority inside it, according to Maori lawyer Charles Hesfeld, Ngāti Parau, because the New Zealand Crown Government legislated it out and legislated their 1835 Declaration of Independence third contract with Australia, New South Wales government, and went around King William IV of New Zealand, the second contract with the chief in 1834 from the original letter first contract in 1831, and then they made a fourth contract in 1840. Why you don't understand native land title transfer law of contract in your whakameninga Maori government. I tried to teach you all these years, but you were all clever, like now, to not talk about king talk, but your own whakapapa, non-king commercial business talk. You want the country people to now follow you. I doubt it very much. Poof, we're just about there, just about in. I might cut short. 1, 2, 3. I'll carry on. I'll keep going till I finish. Tough. That's how it is. Yeah. 12. Legislation. I spent 14 years trying to tell Ngāpuhi, but you knew best, and look at what waste of time in the years now. You backface me, king talk, and you still don't get it. So we legislate the King's Law legislation without you because your young rangatahi, Hama Apiata and Ngāti Kawa kicked me off your titi marae. And so now I am on the Kororareka native land for the native people of New Zealand with the British King William IV Confederation of Chiefs flag and history of the continuity of sovereignty when yours is broken and jurisdiction of the flag. We made legal today to use its power because you didn't let me help you to see the flag for what a king thinks. So you're sailing on your own into the big ocean with a flag of no jurisdiction that I did my best. But you chose to go your own way and follow the New Zealand government to your death, jab backs. Consent and sovereign crown of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, lose this country to their pirate corporation because your brain is wired to a queen and not a king, William IV crown in Britain. That's why I cut you off the flag, native ownership, title, documents here to take to Britain Westminster Parliament direct from the King's Bench Court, jurisdiction and legal authority, King's Hills, the land title deeds and writs of execution, decree, martial law, declaration documents. Today, the court liquidate corporate business and immigrants hiding their assets in New Zealand. The court go after them and arrest them and their property business. These are millionaires running away from America and building bunkers up to hide away when the nuclear bomb goes off. They're going to hide here and think they're going to get away with it. No, we're going after them. We're going after them. The sheriff, Gregory Cook, his father's got a big job from the court to go after those people and check their titles and what the hell they're doing here. That's it. What are they doing here? Hiding away. So there, that's an order. Under the King's flag ship, court-martial law power that we use in this flag to apprehend criminal organizations known for their countries, in their countries by native people there who identifies them as fraud, corrupted, bank hoarding criminals are not immune from prosecution in court legislation. I will split out from these legal statements of claims, including Maori pushing the Jacinda Ardern, Antoinette, Georgie job narrative. Your heads are on the bounty wagon today as creating factless documents that violate native land title laws and King's British laws and legislation we have in this court today put on you and stupid us push misinformation, baseless facts that won't stand up in the world court because you can't answer King's questions about the King's flag jurisdiction. New Zealand government, sovereign government can't usurp that native chief's contract for its Queen Elizabeth contract and Union Jack flag of the sea. No business in it. Why you are all checkmate and caught out. 13 legislation for committing high treason with the contract King's flag for your forgery whakaputanga flag interpretation that has no business meaning to the King's British Crown. Once upon a time, you welcome the Queen. Now you say you don't swear to the Queen. It's despicable behaviour of Maori trying to lead the rest of New Zealand people, especially Chinese and Indian businessmen who won't fall for an incompetent Maori government. And we have a Moai East State government on the site in today. East State government that the government designed. That's so I went right over the top of it and put it to bits. So East State government structure, I set up a government structure of their government so it will rule them right out with what they're saying and put our own spin on it and leave that up to the people to decide whether they want to go or leave the military to run the government. So I've just got a plans to do all of that for you people because I won't be working to do it. And here against the rogue New Zealand Maori government, killing everyone off the face of this earth, and you Maori didn't try to stop it because you're learning, that's what you said, you're learning. 40, legislation for forging your documents of the British government printing office documents, altering and tampering with the word native and changing them illegally into Maori in 1769, 1831, 1835, 1840 that won't legally stack up against the native land title in the World Court of the United Nations because Maori can't link themselves to an original native land title in a prior paper trail of documents and land title memorials all the way to Westminster Parliament, and you can never get the land back into Maori ownership because the native was there before you Pākehā Georgie Job and Antoinette James. Your surnames are not native, and your whakapapa flag is Maori invention and not native British origin. So we cut you off at the native land title, and what you have to go to on is legislated you off the land. Both of you pirate snakes, you're calling everybody else snakes, but you have snakes right in front of us that are hijacking the native title and the flag. You're hijacking, and you're telling people that the government is hijacking the flag when you're the ones hijacking the flag. Both of you are hijacking the flag for your own businesses, and we have got you on is legislated you off the land. Both of you pirate snakes and ladders. We know the proverbial book of law and throw the proverbial book of law at you and see you a stupid Pākehā humbug. So that's from me in the court. Personal view of you and your brain. 15. Legislate the King's flag into Native Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank Million Pound Note. Jurisdiction 970 million trillion pound note with the two bars on it. The Patterson pound note. King William III and 1694 two bar Patterson Moai pound note. Debt instrument. Declaration of war on the Rothschild Bank trademark, Vatican City, private corporations with the instrument in print to print the Moai pound note as legal money against the criminal fraudster's name photograph as collateral. Human value against the Moai pound note legal from today. 77 Cook Street property seizure from today, and again on the 28th, well, that was before, and again. I just said the same thing again in the last court hearing, and this one again of notification of our intention. For note legal from today for 1977 Cook Street property seizure, Pound Note Act 1689, and Bank of England Act and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament. 16. Legislation of prorogue the New Zealand government and Parliament today. Court hearing 22nd of October 2022 and again 28th October 2022 becomes law of the land to engage with the New Zealand Armed Forces, Police and British Armed Forces and Police with the legislation of the Maori Crown 2-bar Patterson patented pound note to pay the New Zealand UK Armed Forces and every other native land titled country's armed forces bill with this green pound note against the Rothschild Bank and the families, Rothschild families of 300 Committee, City of London Corporation, Vatican City Corporation, and Washington, D.C. Corporation, and liquidate the businesses the Crown agents asserts on this day forward as King William IV flag contract native owners of that flag and its martial law power to end the bank wars in this declaration today. I'm making public notice and writ warrant decree. Those are lethal instruments. The writ warrant decree. 17. Legislate to make the flag legal use and martial law power. Declaration of war on the Rothschild Bank, City of London, business foreclosure on Washington, D.C. and Vatican City and the World Bank and the missing gold in the Philippines, Cayman Islands, and everywhere in the world hidden that belongs to our trust. Legislate into law to replace the trustees of our King William IV, Queen Victoria 1844 Trust and put myself as head of the trust and King Ernest Augustus V as King of Britain, UK, Hanover, British Crown, and recover all debts owed the Maui Crown King William IV Trust and Maui Powerhouse Bank, Westminster City and England, British UK Declaration and Proclamation to transfer the assets from King William IV Queen Victoria Trust to Maui Crown King William IV Trust account. So that's what we're doing in this legislation today. And 19, legislation, the New Zealand Parliament belongs to the native-born inhabitants of New Zealand and not the Queen Sovereign Crown of New Zealand. Dissolve them and seize the country and Parliament off them with the New Zealand Armed Forces and Police and pay their budgets with the Maui Crown 2-bar Patterson pound note patent King William III Pound Note Act 1694 and Bank of England Act 1694. 20. Legislate Ngāpuhi did not cede sovereignty to Britain, but decided to stay with their whakamininga Maori government with a sovereign crown government of New Zealand, Maori and Queen Elizabeth to seal as their jurisdiction whakaputanga flag, whakapapa, Treaty of Waitangi 1840, Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth II, contract settlement. So this court legislate their whakaputanga copy counterfeit forgery flag off the British King William IV contract, legal instruments, all these instruments here, and corporation confirmation of a letter asking the British Protectorate help in 1831, then the second contract, third party, on 11th of March 1834, confirmation of the native Confederation flag and founding of New Zealand as a sovereign state of its native land ownership, self-government. Then, in 28th of October 1835, a Declaration of Independence flag of Admiralty mortgage instruments of British native magistrate courts. Third party, third contract, and then in 1840, Queen Elizabeth, fourth contract, fourth party. So different contracts and different party partnerships, corrupted the whole King's Crown Admiralty. I'm just about finished. Crown Admiralty, Andrew, just about finished, mate. We got to finish it. Crown Admiralty line of monarchy. Now, the British native magistrate, this is for the whole world. Magistrate King's Bench Court legislate the bloodlines monarchs, crown of Dutch kings, back to King Ernest Augustus V, British Crown Corporation. In this court today, 20th of October 2022, order him onto the British throne as the legitimate king through that King William III, King William IV Confederation flag contract and the native chiefs and native people of New Zealand legal ownership with these chain of command, native land title deeds and flag history, timeline of events, and great seals of Britain, UK, and legislate out Maori Crown Government of New Zealand, counterfeit de facto whakaputanga impersonation flag, conflicting jurisdiction. This flag legislates out off the native lands and absorb all the native born people of the land ownership of this British King's flag that New Zealand Foreign Corporation Government and its iwi Maori and Whakamininga Maori organisation has no legal instruments and native land memorials to over the Moriori Manukau Native Land Registered in the magistrate courts in Glasgow and Edinburgh, Scotland. We have as evidence of no Maori land title memorials to King William IV British Crown and this 1834 Confederation of Chiefs flag ownership. We claim outright in this court to dissolve all Maori patents and corrupted Maori Pākehā whakapapa contemporary history legislated out by original native hapu surname Wanoa Kāwhuru, Utatonga Kāwhuru, Te Awhatu, Parapara, Manukau, traditional whakapapa and broken by Maori whakamininga, whakaputanga, impersonation of King William IV British flag. They have no legal connection to Westminster Parliament, as our native surname chiefs do, and those elders, Manahi, Mohini, and Pandi, Waitai, have cut themselves off the British Crown Corporation and King William IV flag, state clearly they did not cede their sovereignty to the British Crown Corporation and have joined Jacinda Ardern treaty settlements contract, Ngāpui, Iwi, Hapu, commitments with the government and contract negotiations. The native court says that they have locked the contract agreement process and can't back out of it. And Ngāpui and the government can't legally reach back beyond 1840 because that's the native magistrate court bank flag of King William IV jurisdiction. We have the legal instruments for that to legislate you all off the native land title ownership because you have insufficient evidence to counterclaim against this court flag jurisdiction legal authority and legislate that you pay the corrupted crown debt bill, all of you who are on the Queen and right of New Zealand and Crown Government jurisdiction of a fake Queen and counterfeit Whakaputanga flag. Outside you, your 1840 Te Tiriti or Waitangi or Whakamininga Maori, this is all business. Maori business, baseless, counterfeit Whakaputanga flag. Outside you, 1840 Te Tiriti or Waitangi, Whakamininga, Maori, baseless claims. This native court dissolves with British legislation, legal laws, and British Great Seal of Authority. Kinde, legislate Maori government is a threat against the British government flag patented in this native confederation of Freemason native land survey land certificates that is private contract business and not the Whakamininga Maori government chiefs of iwi Maori and this Mohi Manukau Freemason private contract that only me is privy to certain confidential information between me and the Freemasons office in Scotland, Manukau Company, Glasgow. So they set up a Manukau land company in Scotland to sell the land over here, the Manukau Company. And they set up the New Zealand Company to offset the Manukau Company. So we're going straight back into the Manukau Company in Scotland and deal with it, deal with the whole situation and correct it, the record. Private company business executor, why Mary can never inquire into the Manukau legal titles, and you can only deal with your sole Maori titles, and they are just about settled for less than 1% value of the stolen Maori land. That's not worth much value to wealth generation, whereas my crown is the native crown of the country, legal title documents to Britain, Queen Elizabeth II, and placed in Dunedin as her memorial, which is my native Tahitian royal family title. She memorialized and corporatized as her European land title. The court now legislates that Maui as my Tahitian royal family, Raiatea, Rapanui, Mokanui, Maui Crown Native Land title claim ownership to the native born people of New Zealand, and the court convicted her of theft of my family's valuable treasure. This court returns to my Rapanui, Wanoa spiritual people of peace, love, and harmony I carry wherever I go. So Maori have wooden popo as their memorials on Te Tii Marae and Maori land block, but the Tonga owns the British native land title to the whole Bay of Islands with Refa Refa Manukau on the British memorial land titles that the Maori have second-hand, valueless land titles that's being sold for cheap, now legislated back to its higher value, my crown pound notes, money, currency. So we value up the land as high as we can go to liquidate businesses to pay up a higher value pound note. 22, just about there. Legislate the Whakaputanga flag as counterfeit and forgery of the original king given flag for Admiralty protection of native chiefs trading through the world, and nothing else that Maori is using for what the King of British Crown, did not say to make a replica flag of his flag is what I am talking for him this way, the way he gave that flag to trade through the world, and that authority now rests in its first native magistrate King's Bench Court of British Crown law that you do not understand or practice this native magistrate court. And Whakapuna is a threat on our native land title and New Zealand government European Maori Crown title. You only lease and rent the land, and the court legislate the termination of your leases on Friday today and legislate your leases up by default of fraud business on our lands, the native people land. That's why we're doing this today, because we want no more fraud and corruption of the land. Um, so, um, populations of the world, proclamation to New Zealand population today, and populations of the world in 250 countries, that we take this King's Flag jurisdiction and native title and wealth back off the Queen, corporate pirates and lunatics trying to control the populations. So we lead them out of that corporation contract into the king's corporate contract and shut them down on this day in front of the world. Watching this live court hearing, they witnessed the king's flag take down, take back native lands from the New Zealand private corporation government, private, pirates name photograph legislated as Araroa Native Magistrates Expense Court Bank Human Living Blood-Sucking New Zealand Crown Agents private and public corporations human value, collateral, chattels, assets seized to defray judgment debtors owed pound note cashed on them immediately from today. Crown sovereigns of New Zealand seal and using a counterfeit Whakaputanga flag, and I have the only legal documents of the legitimate British approval Confederation of Native Chiefs, King William IV. Corporation flag for King's contract business only with our executive I have chosen and Gregory Cook, Blair Ingram, Philip Te Awhitu, Philip Newton, Charlie Amai, Kate Baker, Tanya Ramika, Tracy Wanoa, Cecile Hoods, legislated into the Confederation of Chiefs Executive today. The committee are choose in the King's Flag jurisdiction, Britain Direct Natives Partnership. So there, we picked our legal team of the Confederation for now until the rightful owners take it back and run it. So there, we're running the business this way for now until the chief comes back. Iru Manukau. Liquidate all New Zealand trusts and corporations Friday. That's what the Pope said. Liquidate or find them or anything criminal activity going on. There's plenty of that going on in the government. So we liquidate them into cash. That's where the cash comes from. Their heads as collateral. They're using us in the courts as collateral on bonds. So we use bonds of £1 trillion bond, birth certificate worth, and they have 100 million as a birth certificate worth value. So why doesn't people be able to borrow the money from their own birth certificate bond on the stock market? They're not interested. They only spin over the bond and hold you in prison for a long time so they can rake the money out of the bond. That's how that works. Liquidate all New Zealand trusts and corporations today and drop the pound note bill on all registered and past registered companies. So we're going after all the companies that milked the whole system and became rich and powerful. So we go after them all and check their land titles. That's what we're doing with Cook Street. Check the land titles. It's all finished and done. Just have to seize it back to make it financial of everything we do. So there, this goes under the British partnership agreement because they get a cut and we get a cut. We're doing the work. They're not doing the work of recovering. We are controlling the court and not the British while it's still under a Queen system waiting for Charlie to take over. And I don't think Charlie's going to last there long when there's Ernest Augustus there for us to put in there on the crown to claim all our wealth and belongings of any trust. That's the biggest trust in the world that they've spread all over for themselves. So yeah, we're going after the trust and take ownership back with the flag. So we got report criminal by public, including all American billionaires and millionaires, real estate agents who are buying a property here and the real estate companies helping them with land conveyancing. We check all native land titles completely after my Crown Court seizes 16177 Cook Street property and 17 property businesses on Friday, today, 28th. From today, we force this law and legislation to do it and tell the government we've made our decision today to seize land back right away, and they can't do anything about it really because they can't have information in any court. So we don't go in their court, they come in our court if they want to talk to us about what we're claiming. Onwards, next, legislate the Maori Crown Court, Pound Note, from this Araroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court, Land Block 20, Commercial Road, Helensville, as it still is, a bank. We have evidence of the Native Court Chair of Judge John Rogan. That's all that's left of the place. They took the sign and hid the damn thing away. And who was Mohi William Te Mati Manukau, the fourth great grandfather, but but the native court Pākehā fabricated of the iwi Maori Ngāti Whātua Runanga Trust Board, trustees and native lavish corporate snake, we have caught out in a fake kawharu whakapapa. The court legislates kawharu whakapapa from Whaingaro Raglan and Whakatu Marae Nelson, Ross Honakaparu, original native land owner of One Tree Hill, Auckland Greater City area to East Cape Gisborne that joined me up to the old Auckland title that went down to Hawke's Bay and the East Coast where I am as one Auckland title. So that puts me in that jurisdiction of what I'm doing for Mohi Manukau. And his claim over what he says is his land. So anybody can say that, but they have to produce the documents that say so. Unless you can do that, you haven't got a claim. See? That's in British court and our court. The Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Kaipara District legislated back in today to Manukau tribesmen, Moriori, and Kawharu, the giant of Waikato, seized back the native land title to this new Auckland district on Friday today, 20th of October. So native government stole the Manukau title and put a fake Kawharu there. I won't hesitate on saying it that way, that they forged a Professor Kawharu to government crown down here, not Britain, here, to accept that whakapapa tupuna as the real Kawharu when it's not. So there, that's the fraud. That's why they're getting power notes on their heads everywhere. They can't prove it. They can't prove where that Kawharu got their title from. It just doesn't work in Britain. It only works in their own heads. Legislate the Title Land Claims Commissioner legislative framework, which I'm putting together with the Normandy, August 1839, legislate out that sees all these titles back, and I've got the thread where the titles are, into this native court. So we seize all those court titles back into this court right here on this little piece of land where they came out of. No Maori or whakaputanga from King William IV at that time is false. Legislate out. The King William is a Pākehā Williams. Make this not a true native document, land title from King William IV, talking to a non-Indigenous native. That's Kingi William that they're saying has a title when William is William. It's not native. I'm making that clear to the people of Napoli, how native titles work. There was no marriage at 1831 to 1945. That was native court right up to 1949, and then changed into married land court after that, with reference to Manukau's title, and used his name on the Manukau harbour, because all their claims say they dropped their wakas into the Manukau harbour. In the British title, when you have a good look at it, they slipped their wakas from the east coast into the Manukau harbour to get onto the other side. In their treaty claims, it says exactly that. So what is Manukau? Why didn't they put some other name on the harbour? Why didn't they put Tainui Harbour or something like that to claim the tupunas of that harbour? There was somebody already there. That's why. 25, legislate the King William III, 1689 Bill of Rights Act. over New Zealand's 1688 Bill of Rights. Catholic St. James knocked out off the King William IV. So we're knocking out the 1688 with the 1689 Bill of Rights and the 1689 Constitution Act, right out of New Zealand jurisdiction, blown out of the water. Legislate the Ardern family, Latter-day Saints, and the Mormon churches off the native lands and their control of the native people sovereigns of their native lands. 27, legislate, I'm just about to soon finish, legislate Klaus Schwab, WEF, off these native lands and every other native lands of the world, with our King William III, King William IV, trading, bank, court, corporation, flag, jurisdiction, and Great Seal of Britain, Great Seals of Britain, UK, back into the hands of the native sovereign people of their lands under the control of King William IV, Confederation of Chiefs United throughout the world. That's where the United bit comes in. The United Tribes of the world, people, not the United Tribes here. That's the Queen Victoria side when they say United, not over in Kororareka. It doesn't say United. They were just a bunch of few chiefs that wasn't united with anybody with a letter. It was just a handful of chiefs. So that clears that up of where we're going to with all of this. We're going back to the beginning. United throughout the world, foreclosed on Queen Victoria Rothschild City of London, Pope Francis, Vatican City, Biden, Washington, D.C., private corporations off the native sovereign people's lands and bankrupt them with the Confederation of United now, chiefs, native sovereigns of their lands. King William again with the declaration of war flag that I shall read, I'm reading out now from this Araroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court, Bank, First Nations land in Araroa, Helensville, Kaipara Harbour, New Zealand, West Auckland, sorry. Legislate the Maori Hapu incorporations are registered with the Crown Sovereign of New Zealand, that's a new name, private corporation, change their bloody name and pants and into something else than their head, and corrupted the Queen and right of New Zealand Corporation, fictitious non-entity Crown Seal that has no legitimacy but Maori fall down and accept less than 1% of their leased only Maori land that is sold off by Maori, and so the natives did not sell their land under a native government authority. So now the legislate a native federal King's flag self-government authority today with all these 25 legal instruments and King William IV Republic flag, founding of New Zealand country on 1831 to 1834. So we stick to those years only. That's what Gregory Cook is saying up in Kororareka and not 1835. He knows what he's talking about there. He's learning quickly because he's been watching this for years. So has a lot of other people been watching how this all goes together. Sovereign, natives, contract of their own land ownership. So we're saying the hapu here is the land owners or landlords from this court today, legislated into law. It's law. We say law, it's law, because no one's saying nothing. And we're glad that some people from Ngāti Whātau came here today to tautoko what we're doing, which is really make me happy that I'm doing my job and as best as I can. We legislate today back into the control of and prorogue the pretend government parliament of New Zealand and liquidate them off the native land today in this 28 Legislation Act, or 37 now, Act, enforcement internationally from here. The law decree, the writ warrant, arrest and control possession under King William IV flag. So there, those instruments we're starting to legislate, the instruments I talked about, and that's what we do here today over this government. They can't answer to what I'm making statements publicly around the world in our live situation here. And ship of Admiralty, decree with warrant, arrest and control position. That's how you say it, the legal terms of what I'm saying. Position under King William IV flag. So we're doing letting the flag do the work. And ship of Admiralty, court martial law. We got a court martial law going from this court today to the military here and the police, and to Westminster and the military there and the police there to enforce and follow up the threat that we're saying the government is getting another government to run over us and put us and our government and parliament out of business. So we put them out of business before they put us out of business today. Higher authority of this King's Law Court jurisdiction and legal arrest warrants of this court's sheriffs, legislation and passing of these acts of King William IV, 1830 to 1837 Westminster Parliament, entrenched in that flag. Everything's locked in the flag. Everything is locked in 1834, and it separated itself from the Maoris on the 1835. So there's the difference. 1834, King, native. 1835, Maori, New Zealand, pretend government crown. 29, just about here. The Whakamininga and Maori government is a direct threat on the natives of New Zealand people who are united against tyranny of Jacinda government and parliament full of Maori now talking corporate business with the Maori incorporations, Te Ture Whenua Maori Land Act, and to the Maori Whakamininga or Whakaputanga flag impersonation, and was legislated out of the native land titles contract with King William IV contract with the native chiefs here today, and who was supporting the native chiefs. He signed, only him signed, and we signed as executive for them for the meantime until the real chiefs take over. Cut off the native land titles contract with King William IV contract with the native chiefs. So the government, Crown Sovereign of New Zealand, that's the new title, has to legislate your de facto counterfeit whakaputanga flag into the New Zealand law, which is impossible because they got no law to do it. They can't legislate it in it because they've got to get a law to do it from Britain. And they got to get a consent, a royal assent from Britain, and your Governor General does not swear any oath of office, and the Maori Whakamininga Maori government is fooling around with the natives of New Zealand with a fake picture of a Maori chief and a fake picture of a Queen Elizabeth II. I think I've come to the end of it. No, oh, 3 more. Just almost there. I'm gonna finish this off for good. That's it. Once more time around the block. Once more time around the block. As your authority jurisdiction, which won't stand up in the World Court in The Hague or United Nations as a myth illusion, and the counterfeit Whakaputanga flag. I keep saying this over and over again until it drops in their head and stays there, and puts a picture on the wall and show everybody what the hell a flag is for. Flag in my total research as a native assessor, like Philip Newton and Philip Te Awhitu, are native assessors that went under Hohepa Mapedia, and I was with them as well in Hohepa Mapedia and pushing the Ture Whenua Act, 93 Act. But it didn't really work for them because the government's using it too. They got the use of Te Ture Whenua, and they're making better use of it than in corporations. They haven't got the numbers. This is the way to get the numbers behind you, because we include everyone who's born here as a native, born on the land. If you've got a good chief that can look after you, because you have to have a mani whenua in a native title. You have to have a mani whenua in a native title to Britain, and not someone plucked out of anywhere, or cross-reference from cross tribes and all that. So it confuses everybody. When you whakapapa here, I've seen it all before. Whakapapa here, whakapapa there, whakapapa all over the place, till you get lost where they come from. So, authority jurisdiction which won't stand up in World Court in Hague, nation misprision and counterfeit whakaputanga flag in my total research as a native assistant does not exist. So the court legislate your fiction flag and queen off these native lands today as non-legal in the British Supreme Court and original Araroa Native Magistrate Court, Bank Freemason Land Survey records, and British Crown Land records. You are not privy to, but only what I have written as the true native land title deeds, ownership with the Manukau name on it. That's all I go on. Just the name on the title and this land block here. Why the police won't be involved because it's a private issue. It's none of anybody's business but the landowners. There's ownership, kings, superior courts, emperors, Freemasons, private corporation business, the same as the Queen's private corporation business. Administration. So you have to beat off a corporation with a corporation. So we are a corporation company with the flag corporation to beat them using this corporation flag that's got no documents to it. Which memorials, whakapapa memorials to your Maori land titles and New Zealand Crown fake land titles, which have my own Wanoa Tahitian royal family tribe Maui statue replica on Lao Bay in Wellington. They've got a fake Maui there, and they've got a fake Maui memorial on Punga Punga Marae in where Te Waikato Wharehere has this rock, big rock memorial on his land title to King George IV, 1823. It's got his. They put a Maui statue right there on the marae that was fresh when we went down with Hune Mason and Blair Ingram. We went down to check to see who's the chief down there because I used to live there on that marae with Peter Mihinui, my father-in-law, and he told me all the stories of why he built the house next to the rock to claim the rock memorial to the. He knew that was the original title to Maungatautari Mountain that King Tohecha's got and put into his title, but he can't prove it. He's got no proof how the bloody hell did he get onto that land other than splitting Te Waikato's name in half and calling that chief a woman. Te Waikato woman married, I won't say the name, but married two chiefs. And that's their story. That's their story on their whakapapa. That's buggered up the whole whakapapa. It's buggered the whole legislation and buggered the kawhuru title up in the kaipara and the whole of their country. That Moai Maori cannot make a claim in the native magistrate Kingsbridge court. They can't come in this court and start talking claims. It's not for them. It's not for Maori. They got their own court in the district court. That's their court. They got to listen to that judge, not this judge. And coming here, they got fired right off the land because they have got no loyalty, or they got their loyalty to their Maori whakaputanga and whakamininga linked through Georgie Dobb and Anthony James pushing the Jacinda Ardern dual Maori Pākehā whakamininga Maori government. Crown sovereign of New Zealand, new title, narrative, flower on the wall, ambiguous, fictitious, imaginary, dreamed up, thin air legacy that has no documents, no memorials to their Maori land titles. That now they are caught up with a King's Pound note on their stupid heads. Why they failed to come into the native King's Bench Magistrate Court and stake their claim over a native land title that got them all on the land in the first place is stupid to open their mouth and make blatant statements if it's true fact. It's no true fact. So there, I can't see them coming, so we rule if they can't come and talk because they know if they come in there and say the wrong thing, boom, gone. That's how this court operates. You say things true, not made up in your head. Legislating Ngāpuhi treaty settlements, contract agreement are talking to each other, Maori in government and Maori and their jabbed up habu on the incorporated Maori marae. separated from the native lands. As Araroa Native Magistrate King's Bench Court Bank creditors, bill debtor charge all of you in this own your own private or public capacity with inferior New Zealand Crown seals and legal documents as small Crown agents who failed to challenge this court over the past 27 weeks up to today, 20th of October 2022, unchallenged, which means you are now liable and not immune from paying the court bank bill legislated in this court today. Law, decree, writ warrant, property control, and seizure, arrest warrant you face as silent. You are silent and say nothing because you can't say nothing about this. Legislate as true and correct words written in 27 books now, and 27 videos, live speaking court. Individuals are not dead inside New Zealand court system of Queen's Bench, Crown Court, lawless, outlaw judges, politicians. We, the native people of New Zealand, that's all of you, condemn the Parliament government today and remove them from their power and control over us today, including me and the people here, and legislate them all out and lock them up, the lot of them, as soon as possible. Pay the New Zealand and British Armed Forces Police with the Moai Crown Court pound note instrument to arrest them all and charge in this court hearing today, enforced under the King William IV flag, jurisdiction and sovereign authority, jurisdiction and legal documents, seals and Confederation of Chiefs Executive Committee here, creditors, committee administrators and Ngāpui Treaty Settlements Peter Tipene to Horonoku 5 million settlement, well supposed to be 150 million settlement, is proof of meaningful discussions amongst Maori 2nd of February 2021 as a contract not of Britain UK. And just about there, two more pages and we're finished and done. The Confederation trade contract that Maori are tampering with face legal consequences of their Maori inconsistencies. Ambiguous, that word ambiguous is in that tribunal snapshot. The ambiguous, that means nothing. That's what ambiguous means. Fabricated, corrupted, fraud, contemporary history in Pākea's head. Whakapapa, against our original native traditional whakapapa history of First Nations inhabitants, Maori wiped out, but not all of them got away. Not all of them, they got not all of them. There's only few left. Few left. And the British said, no, you weren't here first, it was these people. So that's what we're here for, is to claim who was first here. First in law is best in law, and that's where we stand. First in law is the best in law. Today, we make that statement quite clear, where we stand with our authority to say what we say and mean it legally. The original native traditional whakapapa history of First Nation inhabitants, Maori wiped them out, but not quite. Is now liquidating your Maori land titles and Maori Crown pretend government, your Maori government, and whakamininga is insufficient evidence in this court why you don't talk in it because you are saying something wrong. You get the pound note on your head. So there is no Maori Pākehā leaders to talk to in this court about the King's land. You only lease. So the native court severed your British Crown, Moai Crown, native land leases and set you back into the Sea of Admiralty, 500 miles out, not 200, 500 miles out, where you practice your New Zealand foreign corporations legislations, borrowed from these Dutch kings. You marry Pākehā corrupted. We remove you today in our native people's lands and build charge debt on you. Or now we know who you attach yourself to. We only got one more page left. One more page left and it's finished, people. So to British, UK Parliament and 250 country natives waiting for us and our Confederation British King flag jurisdiction partnership contract flag flying together forever, but in the wrong hands at the moment. We take off them today with our legal doctrines of discovery titles and legal instruments, unrefuted evidence made law today. Legislate number 33. If the New Zealand Navy, police, and armed forces don't assist us today, arrest the rogue parliament and government, then the court has the legal right to contract Fiji, Philippines, Tonga, BRICS, military, and police with our declaration of war, King William IV flag authority, to contract pay them with the green pound note and blue pound note instruments against the name photograph publicly displayed criminal pirates breaking King's law decrees and legislation. 34, three more left. Legislate in recovery of the King William IV Queen Victoria Trust, the British Crown corporate business hijacked by the Rothschild family, and reinstate King Ernest Augustus I back on the throne, replace Queen Victoria, Crown legal inheritance of our trust to legitimate King Ernest Augustus V successor to the throne, and our trust account reinstated with with replacement of Queen Elizabeth II as head of state. That's my job there, to go and do that, and just go in there because there's nobody at the head of the trust. Just go and do it. That's what I'm going to do. And King William IV. If people say, yeah, that's a good idea, I'll go. Yeah, see? So there. King William IV, Victoria, Queen Victoria Trust, corporate business, legal inheritance. That's the legal term, legal inheritance as a surrogate King William III and King William IV. That's my job, my next job from here. Legislate the founding of New Zealand by King William IV on 11th of March 1834, fixed in this court today, and dissolve the fraud 1840 Maori Treaty of Waitangi Treaty claim scam. Corporation business, illegal Crown, Maori land, New Zealand Crown land, titles, documents, seize on them and lock them all up for fraud, remove the flag legal authority off the 1835 Declaration of Independence flag, legal use from the Maori Crown business of iwi Maori and Maori Parliament, Maori use and use of the Maori business crown, of the council use of the flag, the local government use and abuse of our King's flag power, while they can't join themselves to Britain Crown your authority which belongs legally to the native people of New Zealand. From today, notice to the principal is notice to the agent, notice to the agent is notice to the principal. Public international statement from me, John Hoani Kahaki Wanoa, Surrogate King William IV, and President of the Confederation of Native Chief People of New Zealand, and the Maui Crown Sovereign of New Zealand, flag owner, my executive director until the rightful owner takes control from me. So there, I hand it back to the people who own this land here. That's a statement from me. Legislate number 36, one more after that. Legislate the removal of the Latter-day Saints Church authority over the Pacific people and the African people's native sovereign lands of New Zealand to start with, and remove the Mormon Church and Catholic Church authority from New Zealand and Pacific Islands and African countries' native lands today, and put them off the native lands with their WEF, World Economic Forum. 37, the last one of all, thank goodness. Time to have a rest and a cup of tea. Legislate, number 37, in King William III, King George III, King George IV, King William IV, Acts of Parliament, and legislate in motu propria, counts letter, Philippines Acts of Parliament 1834, flag founding of New Zealand, doctrines of discovery title, British Legislation Act 1689 to 1837 to 2022, enforced in this court, the government parliament today, 1902, Union Jack flag legislation, jurisdiction, legislate in the Maui Crown Court and Aotearoa Native Magistrate Kingsman's Court and sheriff's badge and uniform, which I'm wearing, and the sheriffs got their badges and their uniform, and King William IV 1834 flag jurisdiction over all other jurisdictions in New Zealand, Britain, and the world under King Ernest Augustus V, legitimate monarch, sovereign king of Britain, UK, Hanover. It is now on unbroken line of Admiral of the fleet, mortgage lien bank called instruments, and boot Prince Charles, King Charles, off the throne with his unroyal murderous treason family of Peterborough, hijacked King William IV to his next of kin line to the throne, King Ernest Augustus I, to succeed to King Ernest Augustus V, and stop the wars legislation here. This is a legislation to stop the wars with the flag here today, passed in this court for the native peoples of the world in 250 countries today, legislate the word Maori out as it is a patent of the New Zealand Crown sovereign fakes, invention tribe, not real Maori, indigenous people, or natives of their sovereign lands. These pirates and snakes are robbing and showing what a pirate running scam corporation Crown of New Zealand, not Britain, criminal organisation operates, that the whakamininga are in bed with talking to each other, the same plans, what they counterfeit our flag, illegally have no meaning for the forgery flag they fly for non-British Crown interest, but foreign government, UN, EU interest, a threat to our British King's Flag Corporation partnership, government, UN, EU interest, a threat to our British King's Flag Corporation partnership with Britain business, and this court legislate them out of our King's Flag jurisdiction and bill debt to them for counterfeiting the British given flag to natives, not Maori. Fixed true statement today, and legislate 20 legal instruments of our 1840, 1834 King William IV flag dropped on every threat against this British flag that now we didn't see their sovereignty to cut themselves off to Britain, Crown Corporation, by talking to New Zealand Little Crown Corporation, sailing in the ocean without a paddle, lawless bunch of lunatics, and marry a part of that parcel of that scam business by displaying their married chief and Queen Elizabeth fake crown seal jurisdiction. The whakamininga is complicit in Queen married contract negotiation settlements, and they don't belong in a native magistrate court business. And legislate the 12 seals we got here that I said of Maui Crown King William IV Trust corporate flag of Admiral martial law enforcement. We're putting martial law on everybody in the road today. Legal authority. We can put the martial law to shut the country down with this order from this court to get rid of the iwi, Maori trustees, corporations, pirates, and the Crown Sovereign of New Zealand Police, federal organisation, Lyndon Mayor, and his Maori justice put down by the native land ownership legislation and native land title deeds, seize the land under Parliament and Crown corporations here in New Zealand and in 250 countries in the world, liquidate them with this King's British Crown flag bank instrument. This is as much legislation to add at this time goes on, re-edited at some time when our offices are established, as a pound note is printed and digitized on or after February, Friday today, today's of October 2022, on this King William IV and Native Chiefs flag contract day today, 1831 letter, 1834 signing with King William IV and a few native chiefs, founding of New Zealand as an independent sovereign nation, self-governing country, that we are taking back this country from today, 20th of October 2020, and pick off these criminals one by one and drop this pound note bill, debt owed instrument on their heads as we write the law to seize all their property and their business investments and wealth, including those American billionaires who are hiding their stolen wealth gained from corrupted corporation, what's this? Something to an end, bringing to an end on these native sovereign people's lands, that we hold the key to unlocking the lands back into the control of the new Westminster Parliament and liquidate them too with the New Zealand Foreign Corporation and Trust. We ban off these native lands today. That is the end of it, people. Thank you very much. The court is finished. And komutu. So, Andy, I hope you're still there. Oh, you are? You are still there. So there we go. We have said our piece today. And so Hone will close the meeting and the court hearing, and then we can have a discussion afterwards before we set sail to Kororareka with that in mind of what we think and how we think and what's best for the native people of New Zealand is what we said today in the statement that we all agree on signing the document with Reg Manukau on behalf of Eru Manukau, the successor to these instruments in his family and Mohi Manukau legacy today. Memorial to him for all his work he did, but never completed. Now it's completed. So there, that ends the Manukau story and truth of how it was put together with banknotes and land title instruments. So there ends my day's work. And now I can end off with a karakia from Hone Mehana and bless our meeting to finish successfully today with a nice sunny day. Thank you, Reg, for being here today.
Kia ora tātou. Ko ne rauranga tira mai ngā mane ngā reo. Tēnā kia mihatu ki a koutou I whakarongo mai. Ki tēnā ki mahi. Ki ngā kore whakarohoroni ai. E te rangatira neki e whana ki te tikango o tēnā ki haki neki. Koe anō I rote teraka e kapi ana tā tātou hui neki. Kia tātou katoa te atu whai o tā tātou ara ki a iho karau. Me te atua, te whiwhinga tahitang ki te wairua tapu. Ngāke tonu atu. Ai. Rāpai.
Kia ora, kia ora. Thank you, everybody. Andy, where's our music? Where's our music?
Yes, our music.
Where's our music, man? Oh, he's just there.
Rack it up a sound.
Oh. I can't hear anything. We want to sing Reg a song.
Must have a dry throat though.
We want to sing Reg a song for being so helpful to make this a success. Oh, lovely. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. I'll just eat this and then we'll sign it.
Dion singing us out, yeah?
Yeah, and sing a song. I'll just finish off the ride.
Straight from here, straight back to Great Britain.
Hi, Andy.
Greetings all.
You want the song?
I have a stretcher. My feet.
Oh, never mind. Okay. That's all right. We'll just end the court hearing, Andy, and let the people have a talk.
Okay.
And we're ready to put an soon.
Okay. I'll stop the sharing. Second.